Yeah, Gamecock Larry's on hold. Good way to start the week. Get Patrick's good side there. His back. Bill's not even up and rolling yet. No, at least he got the camera there. That's good. Getting his coffee for wellness.
Getting our breaks ready.
Attaboy, Patrick. What a pro. Bill's sliding in here. We're good to go. Let's see if I can get some links out here on this thing. We're all over.
And we're coming in right now. 3, 4.
Tweet this thing out. Good to go.
All right. You guys are up.
Super Bowl week kicks off. As for the prop bets, we'll get into that as we roll on this morning. College football news. Arik Gilbert, the LSU tight end, heading over to Florida in the SEC. And on the basketball court, could not be more opposite ends of the spectrum for USC women's and men's basketball. For the Carolina women, they come back from down early against Alabama at home. Alabama got out to a really hot start, but Carolina goes on to absolutely dominate, like usual, like we are accustomed to with Dawn Staley and company, and completely no problem for the Gamecocks. Third quarter really stretched things out. Carolina wins that thing yesterday, 87-63, so by 24 points, but it's their 25th straight SEC win. That is one better than the school record set a few years ago. Hope your Monday morning's off to a good start. Everybody doing all right there? Patrick doing good, holding things down in the Herndon Chevrolet studios. Bill, you good at home?
Doing good. Can't complain. It's like you said, the first day of February. Hard to believe that we are through the month of January. First day of February. You're right. Super Bowl week. Not sure. I don't know. I'm interested. Patrick, are you a big Super Bowl guy?
Yeah, but it's going to be weird this year because I actually did love Media Day. I loved it used to be in the middle of the day, and I would watch parts of it as soon as I liked getting home from school, and I could watch the end of Media Day, and then it switched to sort of like prime time Media Day night the last couple of years, and that was okay. But this year, we're really just going to be talking to ourselves because all the players, well, the Bucs will be in Tampa Bay, of course, but Kansas City is not going to Tampa Bay until I think Saturday or Friday night. So it's not going to be a normal Super Bowl week by any means, which is kind of a bummer. I like when, Sports Center's live from the Super Bowl and the stadium's in the backdrop and you can just kind of feel the energy all week. I always love all that stuff, even when it's college football and they're Monday morning in the national championship and they're in like the French Quarter when LSU was playing. I like the atmosphere of championship games and championship weeks.
Okay. Yeah. It's a weird week, and because of what you just mentioned is exactly why. I think we'll get into it as the week goes along. Bucks and Chiefs. It feels like I think the line is 3.5. Tim, I know you mentioned the prop bets, but it feels like we're heading for a blow up. But I got to admit, that's also how I felt about the Packers Bucks being
Vegas is desperate for a Bucks win because money is coming in on the Chiefs heavy is what I've heard. Like as heavy as there's been in a long time. Everyone's all aboard the Chiefs right now.
Why'd you say it feels like we're headed to a blowout?
It just feels like this is a really good Chiefs team with Mahomes, and I mean, I shouldn't say it feels like this is a really good Chiefs team, and I don't know. I continue to kind of underestimate the Bucks, and I feel like Patrick, I see your excitement in your smile.
I'm getting the same vibe. Vibe from people. I don't necessarily know if I buy it, but it feels like on one hand we're saying, "Oh, this is great. We have the GOAT versus the future GOAT, or the GOAT versus the best player in football right now." But at the same time, because so many people thought, I think it's just because people thought so highly of the Bills, and the Chiefs just absolutely dismantled them. And I kind of thought that people felt the same way about the Packers. But the Bucs didn't pummel them like the Chiefs did. So I don't know. That is totally what people are saying. I can't wait for Brady Mahomes, but I think Mahomes is just going to kill him. I think the Chiefs are just going to destroy him. The Chiefs are too good. They can't be stopped. Factor in the fact that Tyreek Hill had 269 yards and 3 touchdowns basically in the second quarter the first time these two teams played. it doesn't feel like a lot of people are giving the Bucs much credit. They're all patting Tom Brady on the back and saying congrats on your 10th Super Bowl, but you're going to get your butt kicked.
Yeah, I don't know if it's right. It's just you're right. It seems like we build the Chiefs up to be. I don't know where you put them in the all-time hierarchy of great NFL teams. I mean, there's if they win and they go back to back. I will say, it feels like in my lifetime, Tim, when I felt this way, I've seen the opposition pull the upset. I think the first time I ever felt this way was the very first Patriots victory. I think it was Vinatieri kicked a field goal, and they beat the St. Louis Rams at the time. The Rams were supposed to. I think it was the Rams.
Yeah,
Rams were supposed to be awesome, and the Patriots were led by some spunky Todd or Tom or some Brady guy. I think that was his first Super Bowl, and they would obviously go on. Of course, then I think it later came out they were filming the Rams all week. But that one, the great Patriots team that was undefeated, and then would actually lose to Eli Manning and the Giants on an incredible catch down the field. Who was that? David
Tyree.
Yeah. So it does feel like to me, in my lifetime, when I feel like the Super Bowl's about to be a blowout, one team is decidedly better than the other team wins. But Super Bowl week, got that going for us.
I mean, the Chiefs are not – you can't really hype them up enough because they had – for 3 years under Patrick Mahomes, they've hosted 3 AFC championships, been to 2 Super Bowls, and the first one, they won that game except for Dee Ford being lined up offsides, having absolutely no impact on the play. They intercepted Tom Brady, but Dee Ford was lined up both sides, and they kept that drive alive, tied the game, and Patrick Mahomes never got to touch the ball in overtime. So, I mean, they truly should be in their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl, and they only lost 1 game this year. We kind of slept on them, I feel like, because for a while the Steelers got so hot, starting off 11-0. People were like, "Oh, okay, maybe the Steelers are legit," and we were hyping up the Saints this year because the Saints roster was awesome, but Kansas City won 15 games in the regular season, so I mean, you really can't undervalue what they've done. They're ridiculous.
That leads us to you mentioned Super Bowl props, but more importantly, your Super Bowl menu. When do you start planning your menu, Patrick? I know you're busy this. Yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, full week in advance.
Yep.
Got it.
Because I got to take notes, do some grocery shopping this week. Got a busy week. I gotta make my time for grocery shopping.
Understandable. I'd also need to go grocery shopping, not just for Super Bowl Sunday, but just for food in general.
I'm very confused by you guys' Super Bowl talk. First of all, the Saints the Chiefs were 14-2. Patrick, you don't give them
Mahomes. Well,
you don't count that last one because it was the Chargers and they weren't really trying.
No, because Mahomes didn't play.
Okay.
Neither did Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce.
At least tell me then they won 14 games in the regular season instead of 15.
They did. I'm saying they lost 1 game.
Gotcha. Also, Papa Joe, I think I'm on the same line with him. Has anyone seen the Tampa Bay Bucs defense lately? No respect. Yeah. This is the same thing they said about Brady going against the Saints and the Green Bay Packers. Shaking my head. That's on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. So I'm kind of with Bill on this one. I feel like every time we get that feel going into a Super Bowl, a lot of the times anyway, then the other team sneaks right in there and sneaks up on you and will just steal a title. But the thing about those other teams typically, outside of way, way back in the day that you're talking about, they didn't have Tom Brady as a quarterback. You're not really going to count him out, are you, Patrick?
No, I'm going to bet on the Bucs.
With all that being said, did you just hear yourself like 2 minutes ago?
Well, no, I'm saying this is what the vibe is, and I'm saying I can't really disagree with it because the Chiefs you can't say enough about the Chiefs. But crazy things happen in championship games all the time. And the thing the Bucs defense is awesome. I love the Bucs defense. They're a lot of fun, but I mean, did we also see what Kansas City did to the Bucs defense last time out? I mean, the game was over. It looked closer than it was. I think it ended up being like 27-20 or something like that, and it looked like it was almost a close game, but it absolutely was not. Patrick Mahomes splits against pressure and against zone or man or everything like that. Like, he's elite against everyone. Nobody's ever found an answer for him. So the fact that both their tackles are out, their right tackle's been out for a while, and their left tackle, Eric Fisher, tore his Achilles in the AFC Championship game. So maybe that helps. I'm hoping it does. But the only reason I'm betting on it is because everyone is on the Chiefs so heavy that it just is usually a wise move to go against the public in times like that.
Anonymous Raj says, I'm pulling for the GOAT, but I'm feeling like this is the passing of the baton moment. I feel like most people are on the opposite side of this thing. I don't know. Maybe Brady has more support behind him because he's in a new uniform this time around. And Tampa Bay is the underdog going into this thing. Playing at home is going to be odd, though. That's going to be an interesting twist that we've never seen in the Super Bowl. Billy has an interesting comment. He says that, hey, I rewatched the Kansas City Buffalo Bills playoff game this weekend. I swear I heard it again. When they played the game, the referees, right before the end of the first half, referred to Kansas City as Kansas Sissy when they took their last time out. Am I the only one that heard that? I didn't hear that, Billy.
No. I'm sure they were gold.
Thanks for pointing that out, I guess. Rob from Lake Marion was in this morning at 5 o'clock, and he seems pretty fired up, and maybe this is why we went right into that Super Bowl analysis, because we had no golf to talk about from yesterday. Rob from Lake Marion puts it pretty harshly. Patrick Reed, he says, cheating again. I'm learning to dislike this dude more and more. Rob from Lake Marion. Brutal. So, Bill, were you watching?
I was not watching when it happened, when it actually happened. I did watch a lot of golf, watched a lot yesterday, and as I kind of bounced around, but Lexington. But yeah, I mean, I've seen the replay of it. I read the articles about it. I don't
let's bring everybody in before you give your hot take on what you think what happened. Patrick Reed wins the Farmers Insurance Open in La Jolla on San Diego yesterday. He dominates by 5 shots. Yesterday was so disappointing. It was a good leaderboard, man. Rory McIlroy was up there. I like Victor Hovland. He's 23 years old. I think he tied the lead very briefly yesterday. Patrick Reed was there. He is the evil villain in golf. And Reed just pulls away. Nobody really played very well. I think Reed might have shot the best of the group at 68, something like that. It was just not much drama at all on the golf course yesterday. It was Saturday where the drama happened on hole number 10. Reed's in a fairway bunker, yanks his approach left. It goes right near a cart path. Actually, deep rough over there. Bounces one time and then disappears. And Reed goes over, asks the marshal, the volunteer marshal there, did it bounce? The marshal tells him no, so he promptly picks up his ball and then calls a rules official over and says, I think it broke, it was embedded, so I get relief, a free drop. The rules official agrees, and he moves along his way. Those that know Patrick Reed watch him a little differently than anybody else. And he has been accused of cheating multiple times in his past. And therefore, this thing was broken down, maybe the most I've seen any kind of golf situation broken down. I mean, on the Sunday coverage, they had like 5 people weighing in on this thing. And none of them were pro Patrick Reed, except for the rules official who said, no, he didn't do anything wrong. So, Bill, what's your takeaway from this thing?
That was it. It felt like everybody that was there in person as it happened was okay with what went down. The other players, the caddies, the rules official. I think there was an assistant. I'd have to go back and look at the official title of the first person that was there. I want to say it was like assistant rules official or assistant to the rules official or the assistant to the regional rules official. There was like another person there, and they all agreed with it. I thought what got everybody fired up, and rightfully so, was the way Jim Nantz and Nick Faldo described it, as you said. Where I think when you get a guy like Jim Nantz, who's a really good commentator, I think he's probably the best. I mean, Bob Costas, would you say Nantz is kind of the guy right now? When Nantz says, "Man, that's a really bad look," everybody's going to be like, "You know what? He's right. It is a really bad look. You really can't do that." And Patrick Reed admitted it afterwards. Yeah, he gets watched closer than probably every other golfer, and rightfully so. I'm not saying he shouldn't be. I'm just not sure. I still haven't gotten a complete understanding, because it sounded to me, Tim, like it was a question of whether the ball bounced. And I think, as Nantz and Faldo pointed out, I think it was Faldo who pointed it out, I don't understand how the ball can plug if it bounced. I think was his point. And certainly it did seem rather questionable. And they were talking throughout the week about that rough that they let grow up a little bit since the U.S. Open will be there.
Ultimately, when it comes down to nobody likes Patrick Reed, and it was very evident by the takes on this specific situation. And yeah, he's just too good this week. It's just too good. Wasn't even close. I mean, what kind of penalty are you going to give him there? Give him a 4-shot penalty if you want. Still wins. Win the thing by 5 shots.
Did you guys not see his burner?
His
I
burner
don't even know what you're talking about. Is that a social media account? Is that
yeah,
is he calling you in the night?
I haven't seen
What's going on, Patrick?
No. So go, if you type on Twitter, use USE Golf Facts. That's a Twitter page. And Patrick Reed tweeted out, one of these tweets is in response to a Golf Digest, golf.com article that said, should Patrick Reed have gotten relief at number 10 on Saturday? Here's what happened. And there's a animated response in all caps. Rory McIlroy did the same thing on hole 18, picked up his ball, cleaned it, and everything, and didn't even call a rules official over to deem the ball embedded. End of story. The problem is that tweet was also posted on the official Patrick Reed Twitter account before it got deleted and then put on the page use golf facts.
Oh man!
But they got caught. Red-handed.
I give CBS some credit though; they actually showed it. That's one of the ways they showed that, or that is the way they presented it on Sunday. They showed the Patrick Reed situation, then they showed the Rory McIlroy situation, then they brought everybody else in, and basically they said, "Yeah, nobody questions Rory. He's good. He's never had an issue before." Everybody watches Patrick Reed, and they don't understand why he picked his ball up before he called a rules official over. And the way that I watched that thing, I saw it for the first time. I was like, "Oh yeah, he didn't do anything wrong. He did nothing wrong." And then as they kept breaking it down, I was like, "Oh, I see what they're saying. They think he picked it up and then he pushed the ground down. He's that shady to where he would set it up for the rules official to come over, and then either it doesn't matter to me if he did or he did not. To me, the more interesting part is the reaction to it and how basically everyone in golf was like, "Oh, that's shady Patrick Reed again." And then amidst all of this, even amidst sending that tweet you're talking about and doing all that, he just goes out the next day and dominates. That was the interesting part to me. And that's why Patrick Reed is noteworthy in golf, is because he is all of those things, I think. Shady character and one of the best golfers in the world.
I know golf is not on the same level as the NFL or the NBA, Major League Baseball, but is he the biggest villain not in sports, but in his sport? Like, is there a villain
comparatively?
Yeah, compare him to other this is where Jen, what is it? Who's is it Kyle Busch?
Kyle Busch, yeah.
I mean, Kyle Busch is considered a big villain in NASCAR. I don't know who the villain in the NBA is. NFL.
But the difference is the cheating aspect of it, right? I mean, I guess you do get caught in NASCAR, but I feel like everybody gets caught in NASCAR in those post-race inspections or whatever. They're all doing that kind of stuff. And Kyle Busch has never had the reputation of kind of cheating to get to the top, right? At least not that I know of. I just think he's really, really good and ticks people off. And you can't really say that Patrick Reed cheated his way to the top, but just the fact that never happens in golf, does it, Bill? I don't know any golfer out there that has a reputation for bending the rules or cutting corners or anything. It's always like the ultimate sport that you have to play with integrity, and you have to self-police and they have the ridiculous rules, right? Did you see the one? You showed us the one recently, right, where a leaf comes by and it hits a putt. Where you showed us that one?
I don't think I did. That would have been a while back. I forget.
Maybe that was Patrick. Or I saw this thing where a guy hit a putt and a leaf on the green came by and it smacked the ball out of the way, and because the guy didn't put his ball back or follow the rule exactly, he ended up getting a 4-shot penalty on this thing. There was a 2-shot penalty for what happened, and then another 2-shot penalty for signing his scorecard incorrectly. It's a ridiculous rule, right? Golf's rules are the most tedious, and I feel like the kind of the most buttoned up that way. And I don't know of another golfer in my lifetime that has been accused of being anywhere close to a shady character that way. Certainly Rory McIlroy's reputation's on the other end of the spectrum, and that's one of the reasons they brought it up. He didn't even call a rules official over when he did it. He just picked his ball up, dropped it, and the drop didn't even help him that much. Couldn't even get the ball to the green. It wasn't that big a deal. So Patrick Reed not only is the villain of golf, but he's I feel like one of the big villains in sports just because of the integrity involved in the situation.
Well, I didn't even realize he was known that much to be a cheater as well. I know that a lot of the reason people don't like him is because of everything that led to him getting kicked off the team at Georgia and then basically like cutting off his family completely and that weird situation with his wife. And I thought it was more off the course stuff and just kind of he seems like basically just a big crybaby on the course. But I didn't know there were multiple cheating accusations either.
And I've never understood it because he's got a nick. Well, I don't want to have never understood it because you mentioned it, but he's got that nickname that he picked up for being so good in the Ryder Cup and then the President's Cup, where he's nicknamed Captain America. I always thought he was actually a really well liked guy. But yeah, I think what you're talking about is his time at Georgia was not good, and then he goes to Augusta State and Tim, I think you and I were discussing it at some point just about how at Augusta State, I think even some of his teammates were basically saying that even though he was on their team, they couldn't pull for him. So kind of crazy.
He won a national championship there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough, man. Another anonymous texter hits us up, Pool Care Heating and Air text line this morning. People don't like Bryson DeChambeau. People don't like Brooks Koepka. There's a few out there in golf. No doubt. There are a few, and there are people on that side of the spectrum with those guys. But it's a different type of reputation. There's nothing shady involved in that. It's just more of a personality deal. It's DeChambeau being Mr. Scientist and taking forever to play and pumping up his body. I guess the shady part
Brooks
might be with him.
Too cool.
Some PEDs, yeah, and Koepka saying, I don't really like golf. I'd rather play baseball, but I'm just good at it. And only winning the majors. So I was really disappointed yesterday that we didn't get some kind of drama. I wanted it to be good versus evil. 23-year-old Victor Hovland, who smiles all the time. So there's nothing to dislike about the kid. I wanted him down the stretch to take it over from Patrick Reed and resisted. Unfortunate. Especially since we didn't have football yesterday. I was hoping that would take over. It didn't. Oh well. USC women's basketball dominated yesterday. Gamecock men's basketball, the exact opposite Saturday night. We got to get into it. A loss to Vandy, who was winless in the conference. We'll discuss coming up. Let you hear a little bit of what Frank Martin had to say about it as well. 803-404-6100 if you would like to join. We see everybody hopping on the old live stream, YouTube and Facebook. If you haven't joined that yet, 107.5 The Game. Don't use the old decimal point in the 107.5. Just go 107.5 The Game. Search for that on YouTube, Facebook. You'll be able to find that page. Hop right in the live stream. Then get your comments popping up right on the live stream as well. Donnie, the latest to say good morning. Carlton, Chavo, everybody's up this morning with us. Love that you're a part of the show. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game. I'm assuming Bill's got a little something here.
What?
No, you're good. See, we got our first spam in the Facebook Live.
Yeah, I see that.
All right,
Yeah.
we really made it now.
I think you can go in and delete that in Facebook.
Oh, yeah?
I think so.
I can do it right now. See ya, spam. What power we have on the live stream. Patrick, we really made it. Live stream comments, spam already on Facebook this morning.
Yeah, what's going on? Did you delete them?
Yeah, just took them out.
Nice. I didn't know we could do that.
I didn't either. Bill let me in on that power play. Pretty huge. I feeling good this morning. Feeling very strong. Can you yank some Frank for us, please?
Yeah, what do we want?
Maybe very beginning where he's talking about first play of the game on defense. He knew it wasn't going to be a good day. And then the very end. Talking about how he's always figured it out before. So that from his media Zoom call I'm talking about? Whoa, just for a ride there. That's the up top view, huh?
Oh.
Check out the lights there in the studio. Oh, good look in the talk studio there.
Did he go cut those lights on? Must have in the regular studio.
And they're on. If he didn't, there might be a ghost.
Mm. Oh man.
And I was bummed. I was ready to watch wall to wall. I pretty much did watch 3 to 6:30 golf yesterday. Brutal. Kids were pumped about the leaderboard. They were ready to go. The 5-year-old was jumping up and down. And then that was like the first 10 minutes when it was close, and that was that.
Yeah, it escalated. And I was like you. I kept pulling for something to happen.
Oh, look at this excuse. We were camping Friday, so I only caught a few minutes of the show. The live streaming does archive there, Chavo. Especially, I mean, you're on YouTube. You can go back and watch the whole thing, man. But thank you. Thank you for the sweatshirt. I'm with you, Craig. If he only would have won by one shot, it's a much different conversation today. Patrick, you're still on mute, by the way, on the live stream. Say that because I need to.
I'm trying to be. I'm editing right now.
Gotcha. Thanks, man. Might be about the show, might be about Patrick Reed. I hear you, Craig. Unlikable.
I don't know. I don't think it's about the show. I think Craig is always weighing in.
Oh, did you see this too? A text in yesterday, I think. Yeah. Good morning from Abu Dhabi. And it's a text about Arik Gilbert from a Florida fan, from Alan T.
Jesus.
How about that? Never gotten to Abu Dhabi before.
Chuck lost his mind.
Oh, yeah.
Texting the radio station during the game.
Sounds about right. Yeah, there it is. 1. Let's see what we got here. Let's count these up. This is not the first time Chuck's just texted in all caps aggressively. Let's see. Start. I see. I'm so embarrassed, ashamed. So embarrassing. And there we go.
Where'd Patrick go?
He's just editing. He's right there.
Oh, is he?
Okay, started at 9:22. I loved Frank Martin, but this is unacceptable. Let's see how many we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
We're coming back.
18, 19, and then sorry, apologies. 19 to wow.
You're up. You're up.
Just counting up 19 texts from one listener out there who ended up apologizing the next day and says I too often let my emotions take over. You guys do an awesome job, Gamecocks. Okay, Chuck, we'll accept your apology there. It was all caps and very frustrated texts Saturday night on the Cool Care Heat and Air text line from Chip, watching Carolina not just lose to Vanderbilt, but absolutely get blown out. That final score not indicative of the dominating performance that Scottie Pippen Jr. and Vandy put on Carolina. Bill, what did you make of what you saw Saturday?
Disappointing.
Kind of in the same boat as, excuse me, kind of in the same boat as Patrick. I guess a week prior for a new game, like they're down 30-13. They were down 30-13. What, 9 minutes in the game? Is that right? And they made the 14. I'm trying to think. They got it back to I think 30-27, the 14 overrun, and then Vanderbilt took off again. But you know, I'm with people on this. Like, I know that there have been issues. I totally get that when you talk about COVID and you talk about practice and you talk about guys get out or guys having been out. I don't feel like the issue should be it's
going and then
does that make sense? Is that fair? Like, I don't see how the issue should be this severe with this basketball team. I know there are reasons, but I feel like there are things I'm watching that still do not add up.
Well, none of it adds up, though. And when you say the issue, I don't know what the issue is. Is the issue that they're not very good? Is the issue that we have no idea what team's going to show up? What team in the history of college basketball has been 2-4 in conference play, and those 2 wins have come by 24 points each? That doesn't make any sense.
No, I'm with you on that. Well, to an extent, I don't think. See, that's the other thing, and I could be wrong. But I don't feel like this is a bad team. Now, here's the difference: they've lost to the teams that I think that they probably should lose to. Teams that are simply better. Missouri, I think Auburn's better.
When you're completely
LSU's a better basketball team. I think those are better teams. You've seen them teams that are just not that good. Georgia, Texas A&M. That kind of adds up. That makes sense. Saturday night, I still think they're better than Vanderbilt. They give up 52 points in the first half.
After giving up 59 the game before. Before, and 109 the game before that.
I knew
we were in trouble. They beat Vanderbilt, they lost, and when you're Tennessee this week, you go, okay, I get it. Tennessee's bad, and once again, it's just a better team beating them. But the way they
disappointing.
Run out of the gym. And again, they were competitive with LSU for 35 minutes.
Defensively,
I don't know. I'm kind of to a place where is it something more severe we don't know about? Is it chemistry issues? Because I do agree that I don't think it's not all virus related anymore. I mean, this team has now. They were able to practice and play. What did they play? 4 straight games. They've been able to practice and kind of get guys together. The nucleus of the team: Cousinard, Bryant, Lawson, Levesque, Minaya. Those guys haven't missed the game. They've all been able to practice and go over the last 4
I tried my best to think.
So I'm a little confused as to why that is. I get that you haven't had Jalen McCrary, and I get that Alonzo Frink is out, but yeah, there's things like that now that I don't completely understand.
Chaz has an explanation for us on the Cool Care Heat and Air text line. I don't think our basketball team has an identity crisis because we're bipolar. 2 very identifiable and opposing identities. Blow a team out and get blown. Saturday night, I think this is what maybe Frank and Jimmy Dykes, the analyst who was doing the game again Saturday, did the game midweek against Georgia. Maybe might have been expecting the first time you change your defense. A lot was talked about that in that Georgia game, right? Where at Auburn, you're extending your defense. You're playing a typical Frank Martin, deny the basketball, get all the way, push them all the way out to half court, make them uncomfortable, get them off their spots, the whole deal. And clearly that didn't work. He scored 109 points. So you make an adjustment. Georgia game, more sagging, gap heavy, they called it, man-to-man defense. And that worked amazingly. It helped that Georgia couldn't shoot a lick. And they pointed that out in the broadcast. But you got to give the defense some credit for that. And it's not like Vandy came out and just completely shot the lights out. That's the hard thing for me to understand. They shot the ball well, especially early on, and obviously had confidence. But I guess it was basically the combination of that and the continuing struggles at the point guard position, being both offensively and defensively. I'm saying mostly defensively. Give up 93 points to a Vandy team. I'm going to look at their scores right now. I don't even know if they scored in the 80s before. Let's see, 180 against, is this a Mississippi Valley State, and 87 points against Alcorn State. Okay. And they scored in the 70s against Florida and Kentucky. So it's not like they don't have an offense at all. But Scottie Pippen Jr. looked like he's an NBA All-Star. And then their other play, he didn't even lead the team in scoring, right? Maxwell Evans lit them up for 30-some. Dessou was lighting things up early on and really opened up the defense, I think. So Evans ends up with 29. Dessou ends up with 17. Pippen with 23. But it was almost how easily they did it was the wildly concerning part. Patrick, what do you take away? Can you help us figure out what we saw on Saturday night from Gamecock basketball in that 93-81 loss to Vandy?
Well, here's something else I don't totally understand, and I don't know if it's the mindset of the players. I don't know if it's defensively. This stat, it feels like the constant time of possession stat that you would see from Will Muschamp under Brian McClendon or Kurt Roper, where South Carolina just gets annihilated in time of possession. I don't think South Carolina played particularly well on Saturday night. But look at the shooting percentage. They shoot 50% from the field. They make 10 three-pointers. Look at the difference again in free throws. 9 of 14 from the line for the Gamecocks, 22 of 27. 27 attempts, 22 makes 13 more free throws from Vanderbilt. And is that a mentality thing? Because it happens almost every game where you see the opposition not only go to the line 20 more times, but the opposition seems to make, and I know it was 13 on Saturday night, but they end up outscoring South Carolina from the free throw line 10 more times. Is that just because Frank Martin's defense is so physical? Is it because referees? I guess we always talk about this. Referees always go into the game thinking, "Oh, it's a Frank Martin team. I have to watch them. They're going to hand check and do all that." If you play a sagging defense and you're not pressuring quite as much, that should take away some of the drives to the basket. 13 points, again, is the difference in the game. Either shoot 10 more, 14 more free throws, get into that neighborhood, go 10 or 14, or limit the other team. But look at that stat again, and how often do we seem to come in here and talk about the disparity in free throws between South Carolina and whoever the opposition is?
I think it's a style thing from the guys that Carolina has, led by A.J. Lawson, and I thought it was going to change a little bit. They talked about it on the TV broadcast. It was one of the first offensive possessions. Lawson goes to the hoop, gets fouled, and the bucket, which we rarely see happen. And the reputation is doesn't play through contact, or if Lawson does go to the basket, drawing contact has been an issue. And that's one of the reasons why that stat just continues to be what it is, Bill. That to me doesn't stick out in this game. What sticks out to me is another thing Frank was saying afterwards. He said he even showed them last year, going into the Vandy game, which, by the way, was the last SEC game Vandy has won. But how the net ranking was at 60 for the Gamecocks, and they were on the cusp to really working their way into serious contention to the NCAA tournament. With a win on the road at Vandy would have just only helped their case and really solidified that. And so Frank said, yeah, we were trying to show we owe them one. And so any kind of extra motivation would have been there. And it's the same guys, right? This is where in college basketball, and we've heard it, I feel like, to a large degree, but it's not just at South Carolina, it's college basketball these days. Typically, year to year, your roster looks drastically different. But we don't have that this year with the Gamecocks. So much experience. Only Seventh Woods really a newcomer on the floor. And so I would have thought that you could appeal to that pride and motivation. And South Carolina certainly owed Vandy one in that gym where they had lost last to them. The last win that Vandy had. I mean, a guy like Maxwell Evans, he scored 29 against the Gamecocks. He had only scored 52 points on the season going into that game. It's wild to me. How Scottie Pippen Jr. got up from that dunk where he ended up on his head, too. I have no idea. I was impressed with his toughness. And on the other end of that, Trey Hannibal, it was a clean play. And the referees went back and looked at it, and he was making a play on the ball. It was just unfortunate the way that Pippen ended up coming down off of that dunk for sure. But fortunately, he was okay. Trey Hannibal ended up not coming back in the game a little later. He got run over. I think it was Pippen Jr. that kind of maybe got a little revenge at that point. But I think he's going to be okay. And he actually played really well, especially if you look at the box score. And it will be interesting to see how he's used and what kind of adjustments Carolina makes moving forward. But
maybe Kuzma's worst game as a Gamecock. So
yeah,
I was thinking
I think that's very fair.
It was really bad.
And we talked about how important he was in that Georgia game, the Georgia blowout, and being connected and running the point, and how different Carolina can be, especially defensively. If he's running the point, and how they got in the rhythm against Georgia, I thought then they would build on that. They did the exact opposite. I think it's head scratching, it's frustrating, disappointing, all those adjectives for Gamecock basketball right now, dropping 4-6 on the season, 2-4 in conference play, and giving Vandy their first conference win since they beat the Gamecocks last time they went to Nashville late last season. We'll continue to discuss. Interested in hearing your thoughts. 803-404-6100 is the text line. You can also call us there. Our favorite 86-year-old caller, Gamecock, Larry, up early with us. We'll get to him when we come back. Dramatic conclusion of hour number one coming up next here. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
Needed a great night of sleep. A lot to talk about today. Super Bowl, obviously, next weekend. So I needed a good weekend of sleep. Exactly what I got. Sleep number bed. You can count on it each and every night. Put that sleep number setting on 55, and it creates a fantastic, comfortable feeling. I get a great night of sleep. You can do the same. Right now, proven quality sleep. It's game-changing sleep. You don't want to miss out. There's a great special going on right now. You can save $1,000 on the Queen Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed, but that deal ends today. So you need to drop what you're doing, head on over to a Sleep Number store, 2 to choose from, one in Irma on Harbison Boulevard, across from Buffalo Wild Wings, the other in Columbia, 2 nights across from Sand Hills Mall. You can always visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the NFL. That deal that I'm talking about right now, save $1,000 on the Queen Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed, plus free premium delivery and setup when you add a base. But it ends today, so don't wait around. Go visit one of the 2 stores I mentioned. You can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. Again, you can save $1,000 on the Queen Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed, plus free premium delivery and setup when you add a base. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night's sleep is truly like.
Thanks for the heads up about Patrick being muted there. We'll get him going. Patrick, you've been muted for a while, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. You got more of Frank that we can play?
Yeah, I got the one about the first possession.
Okay. Start with that coming back, please.
Hear me? Oh, yeah. I said, yeah, that's fine. I said, I'm sorry. I was saying, yeah, that's no problem. I said, well, that's what I was going to say right away. I mean, yeah, it's above like 46 now. I don't know if that will stop Steve or not, but I would prefer, I mean, if he goes today, when he goes to, then we're practicing. So if he goes today, he won't go Wednesday. If he doesn't go day after, he'll go Wednesday. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's just see. So, yeah, we'll do that. I need to find receiver guards. That's the thing. So anyway, but I'll make sure that my head in office if you want to see if they're free anywhere. And we'll see if they get this. Take care of it. Yeah, we'll check back and forth. We'll see what the soccer plan ends up looking like. Because if there's no soccer, that'll make it easy for us. Then I can just meet you, whenever you're done with your meeting, and we'll go from there. If they end up having soccer, we'll just gotta play later and see what. Huh? Yeah, practice.
DJ, I've never heard a head jerk described as a basketball move before. Patrick, what was your basketball career playing wise? How long did you make it? Middle school?
Yeah, I was on a high school team. I just stopped playing because
We'll kind of see. Like I
our
said,
high school was really good, so I didn't play AAU or anything like that, so I just dropped
that
that.
happens. It's like
You played through your senior year?
today. And then
I played for the school team for my first year, and then I just played rec because I got into travel lacrosse and couldn't make time for basketball anymore.
Gotcha. So ninth grade, we'll call it your official basketball career?
we'll talk about it.
For, like, high school teams, yeah.
Gotcha.
I played like rec league my senior year, and I played rec league all through high school, but that was like once a week. I would call myself a good basketball player. We're back.
We still got Gamecock Larry, yeah?
Yeah.
You play Frank coming in, please. Bill, everything all right?
Yeah, I
Stick
was
around
just
this morning?
dentist appointment for office, potential soccer practice. There's a lot going on family-wise today. We're trying to.
February 1st soccer. Woo.
Yeah.
When you're completely out of sync to the basic rules that you go into a game with, on the first possession, you got zero.
Frank Martin, after the 93-81 loss to Vandy over the weekend, says he could tell that thing was coming. He also mentioned the practice before on Friday that they were not good in practice. So I guess it probably wasn't a complete surprise to him to see that in the first possession. And this was, I feel like, Bill, that change in identity he was telling us about, we heard about from the television broadcast, and Jimmy Dykes and changing the defense against Georgia, how it didn't happen in that game, and it did happen in this one. What popped in your head as he was talking there? It looks like you had a thought.
How I felt about my 8 to 10-year-olds on Saturday morning in our last game. I could tell from the get-go. When I drew up a play offensively and they walked out on the court and two players turned around and go, Coach, are we on offense or defense this play? I understand where Frank's coming from. I understand. Totally get it. And just like
your players. No, did they actually say offense or defense? Because my players don't even understand that concept. Do we have the ball or do they have the ball? I think is how they.
Yeah, it's pretty much. We did rally. My kids rallied. They did a good job. We got down big. We rallied, cut it 4, and almost came back and won. But I blame I don't blame my kids for our loss on Saturday. I blame Tyson Volknight, our referee. Poorly officiated game. If you see Tyson, that can be fine now. The season's over. But Tyson really let me tell him if you see him out there today. He really let me down on Saturday. Could have given me a few extra calls.
Good leadership, teaching the kids the right lessons there. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. We need some wisdom in on the program. Our favorite 86-year-old caller, Gamecock Larry, ready to roll before the show even started. Thank you for your patience, Larry. What'd you make of Gamecock basketball this weekend, sir?
I ain't gonna talk about no basketball game. I mean, we got our butts cracked. That's all there is to it. The Lady Gamecocks done okay, but JS got a Friday. Knowing what you know now, what do you expect in next season? What do you expect the Gamecocks to do? Well, I don't know too much now, but what I expect is I expect to win and I expect to go 12-0. Now, another thing, T-Bird, all you Legion of Doom, I've been trying to call you guys. You guys won't answer your phone. When you do, you got to hang up right quick. Let me tell you, let's forget about what happened last year, 2020, COVID, all this, everything happened. Let's talk some trash. Call the station if you don't want to call me. If you want to call me, call the station. I gave Patrick to my permission to give you my number. I need to talk some trash. It has been almost a year since I talked any trash. Call me, all you Legion of Doom. Go Gamecocks.
Gamecock Larry. Just soliciting trash talk. That was amazing.
Yeah, it's after he yelled at him for calling him too much in the middle of the night. This poor Legion of Doom doesn't know what to do. One day they're calling him too much. The next day they're not calling him enough. They're all confused. They're all in a group text message together. Like, is today the day we call him alone? I don't know. Yeah, how about you? Are you calling him today? I'm not calling him today. I'll yell at me on the radio tomorrow.
Back to the basketball conversation. Travis hits us up on the Facebook live stream. Says if I can make a change, Trey Hannibal would get the next start at the point. I think my pops is on board with that one. I sent a text message back to my pops the other day, like, okay, but Hannibal not exactly consistent. And if you're going to trust the ball in his hands, I think you're going to have to live with a lot of issues on the other end. Bill, what do you think? Does Frank Martin go that way? Would you make that change?
I think you've got to do something different. Look, this team goes as Cousinard goes. When he plays pretty good, they generally have a great chance to win. When he doesn't, the chances are really, really, really slim.
At least you don't have to worry about starting off lethargic when Trey Hannibal goes.
This is true.
That's true. Run up and down the court and
Hannibal
out there.
He's just taking people out.
Play Trey Hannibal.
I agree with you on that.
Tasmanian Devil. I don't know how anybody sees anything different there. Hour 2 coming up.
Quick. All right, we'll be back at the top of the hour. No updates.
Gotcha. A little shorter break than usual there, live stream peeps. So shorter during the break segment here. We should come up with a little banner. I should put this.
Oh.
We're streaming. Bill's waking up, maybe.
Yeah, I slept.
Complaining about Lexington basketball officiating.
Tyson did a good job. I've grown up with Tyson. We just poor kid. We were down 16-2 and came back and lost 19-15.
Oof. Heck of a comeback. Spurrier would not be happy with that other team for not stepping on your throat.
Yeah, we started pressing. I should have been pressing all year long, just getting out there, getting after kids.
Poor coaching. I just got a text in about the Saban leaked recruiting thing. Did you guys see that?
I haven't heard about this.
Oh, you guys got to go watch that thing. It's great. It's about 2 minutes of a Zoom call of Saban talking to a recruit. Go check it out. I have so many questions about that and wonder so much, like, how does that get out on the internet? Then Saban's going to know exactly who it was. What is going to happen to that point? Does he still exist right now? Can we locate him? Let's do a wellness check. Let's do a well check on that guy. Like it's not going to give you any earth-shattering stuff, but it's just interesting that there's actual video of a Zoom call, a recruiting deal right now. Chavo asked if Tyson was class of '96 there, Bill. Is that right?
Yeah.
He's old like me.
The other coach just texted me and said, "Are you kidding? You got every call there was." and we did actually. His team ended up with 4 players. The other coach just texted me and said, "Are you kidding? You got every call there was."
Patrick, you get extra bonus points from one texter at least if you go with the Perfect Strangers theme song here.
I don't know how to do that.
That's next week. Give Patrick another week on the job.
I don't know if that's even possible because they're just randomized.
Yeah, but you could just get rid of that thing and pull it in manually. Randomized. Yep.
All right.
Oh, he's going to try it?
Now I got it.
Oh, wow. Just like that.
But now we're at risk of doing back-to-back Perfect Strangers intros.
I think today might be a day where people could use a little back-to-back Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
From the Gamecock perspective.
I just read the article.
The Saban thing?
Just watch the video, man.
Yeah, I just bookmarked it. Oh, Brett Coleman posted it. I actually like Brett Coleman a lot.
It's 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes. Watch the thing.
Were you seeing the Brett Coleman one? Is that what?
You talking to me or Bill?
Whoever watched it.
I watched it. I just watched it on Twitter. I just saw
on Twitter. Scroll down.
To me, it didn't matter who put it up. It was Nick Saban talking,
That's the first one. When I type in Saban and scroll down to the phone recorded Zoom.
Right. That's it. Watch it. That is impressive that your 5-year-old walks around saying, "Don't be ridiculous." Okay. Good parent.
We got 4 guys drafted at any school in the country. We got 64 guys playing.
Why don't you mute that, Patrick, right now while you're listening?
I feel like I shouldn't be listening to it while we're doing the Zoom chat.
Yeah, I think if I listen to it, it'll bleed back through. I guess I can do it on my phone.
You can hit mute.
Yeah, but then we'll just be sitting here quietly and nobody will be.
That's when I have to fill the time, man.
All the time.
It's only 2 minutes. I think I can handle it. We got people chatting on the live chat here.
It's actually only 30 more seconds.
That's right.
We're going back. We're going in early.
Yeah, we got no update today. We had a technical issue with the stream. No CBS Sports Flash. All right. What was the good read, Bill? I missed that one. All right, intro's up, Bill. Actually, you got probably 20 more seconds at least. All right, I wonder if Patrick's listening or not. Impressive, Patrick got this going. JS better be pumped. Here we go into hour number 2 of the show. A little earlier than usual. I like it. Request granted from rising superstar producer Patrick Perrette, helping to fill in for Jen Jensen this morning. The Herndon Chevrolet Studios, downtown Columbia. if Patrick ends up unmuting himself on the live stream video, I'll be really impressed here in this hour. Oh, but you just took it out all the way, Patrick? Oh, no, that's not going to make people happy. No harmonica at the end, nothing. We're trying to give you a little wind beneath your wings. JS, I think, might have needed a little extra this morning. Ah, okay. That was another text in here during the top hour break. This one from an anonymous texter just said, what did y'all think of Nick Saban's recruiting pitch that got leaked? So you guys missed that over the weekend. I definitely saw that. Check it out. It's all over the social media. It's about 2 minutes worth of a legit Zoom call from a recruit. This recruit, I feel very bad for him because I'm sure Nick Saban is going to know exactly who that is. I'm sure this is found out on Saturday, I think, when the video came out, and there will be some repercussions.
Yeah, probably not going to go to Alabama, that kid.
And maybe nowhere else in major college football.
Well, but
or
nobody
there will be very little trust in these Zoom calls.
I was trying to look. Nobody knows who the kid is, right?
No, but I'm sure Saban does.
Well, Saban definitely does, but I mean, I guess the point being is he going to tell all the other coaches? Is he going to get on a Zoom call with Ed Orgeron and Lane Kiffin and Jimbo Fish? Be like, oh, man, I wouldn't recruit that kid. He leaked my recruiting video. And I agree that you shouldn't do that as a recruit. Also, there was nothing in that video I saw that was awful or that.
Oh no, quite the opposite. I mean, it was exactly what you would. Anybody in their right mind would pitch at Alabama, just saying we've won so-and-so national championships, we've been in the college football playoffs so many years, we have the most guys drafted, and then I hate when people say, you don't want to go to Alabama, come to my school because you can play right early. He said, first of all, that's insulting to you because I wouldn't be talking to you if you couldn't play at Alabama, and second of all, doesn't matter because the competition at Alabama in practice is better than what you're going to play on Saturdays in the SEC no matter what. If you're a corner, you're going to go against Amari Cooper every day in practice. He's the top receiver, take it. If you're an offensive lineman, you're going to go against Jonathan Allen. He's the top defensive lineman, take it. It's basically exactly what anyone would pitch to a recruit from Alabama. Pretty much right himself.
But seeing it and hearing it is a little different. And Bill, I would be shocked if the new recruiting staff, or I know they have someone new in charge. I don't think it's gone official there for Shane Beamer over there in the South Carolina building. If they don't know exactly who that is already, if that word hadn't traveled around the SEC, as soon as that Zoom call got out, like, yep, it was this kid. Guaranteed it was this kid.
That's the danger of Zoom for kind of all levels of coaching and communication in front office. Because I know that I was talking about the Senior Bowl last week, and I know that I'd heard reports from NFL insiders saying, at the Combine and at the Senior Bowl, there's all sorts of backroom conversations that happen all the time. But now that everything has to be virtual, people are really afraid to have those conversations that might be labeled as tampering or collusion or things that happen every day and everybody knows they happen every single day, but there's never proof of it. Whenever you're on a computer or a Zoom chat, you never know when your screen's being recorded or who's listening in the background, who's standing behind the computer off the camera that's listening. Like, you just never know any of that stuff. So it really is changing a lot.
I thought you were going to take it the other way because I feel like, at least in the last few years, we've got some prospects always coming out and saying, they asked some inappropriate questions.
Yeah.
And they should not have asked me that.
Trying to call a team out.
So
this is just personal issues and the whole thing.
This is one website I was sitting here scrolling. It's a 5-star prospect. It says Ania White.
I don't even know the kid's name.
Can't be doxing kids, Bill.
No, it's on the internet. Like, I looked at it. What do you mean? It's like I'm quoting an article. Like, he's from Philadelphia. He's the number 2 weak side defense end of the 2022 class.
He's gonna go to Penn State.
6'5", 230 pounds.
I think proving our point that people know who it was that Nick Saban was talking to here. It's just kind of fascinating to have that point of view and see Nick Saban selling his program. You're right, Patrick. Nothing like ground shattering or earth shattering, groundbreaking. Nothing that you wouldn't think that would happen just to actually see it in action. Right. It's just the only reason why this video is making the rounds. Appreciate bringing that up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. Super Bowl week, plenty to talk about in the NFL for sure. Other big college football news in the SEC anyway. LSU tight end Arik Gilbert announcing he's going over to Florida. This got us our first ever, at least that I know of, text in from Abu Dhabi yesterday on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Alan T. Thanks for hitting us up, man. Glad you can stay connected to home through us. He says, good Monday morning from Abu Dhabi. This was sent yesterday, right before midnight, I guess last night, the time change and the whole thing. If this roster stays intact over at Florida, he's talking about, looks like Bill will be choking on that Haterade he likes to drink. Thank you guys for giving me a taste of home in my afternoons. I really do enjoy your show and the station. It's sports with character. Stay safe, from Alan T. So I should say good afternoon to you, since I guess it's a little different time. It's kind of how the world works over there. Bill, what do you think about your Haterade?
Who's throwing in the ball? Who's going to throw in the ball? You guys buying into Emory Jones?
No, but
Anthony Richardson?
Not gonna happen. I don't know who Anthony Richardson is.
Quarterback.
I'm not buying into the fact that Florida
How would we
will
know
have
that,
a competent quarterback. Is that what you're trying to sell us right now? They're not going to have anybody to throw the ball?
I think there's a lot of questions. Emory. Did I say Emory Jones? Did I say Emory Richardson?
No,
Emory Jones is quarterback. I was going back through their roster to see, but I say that there was a lot of questions. David Waters, who does Gator Breakdowns, a good friend of mine, and we kind of exchanged text messages and cut up from time to time. And I've got we'll sit there and discuss the SEC or discuss Florida or South Carolina, whatever might be relevant. Just one of the things I'll pick his brain about is the quarterback situation. There's people down there who are not particularly thrilled with Emory Jones at this time. Now, you guys are right. Dan Mullen is a very, very good quarterback coach, and he could develop him this year, this offseason. Emory Jones last year, 18 of 32, 221 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns and had an interception. He was more of their wildcat quarterback. He was actually had 32 carries for 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. Technically, they're in terms of yards, their third leading rusher last year. So we'll see how that kind of works out. Anthony Richardson, again, is the other guy, one of 2 this year in terms of passing, and had 7 carries for 61 yards. But I think that's the big thing. Kyle Trask, really good. Patrick, you've given us your top 5 quarterbacks. That was a lot of Friday's show. We talked about Trey Lance, obviously Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. Who else do we have? Mac Jones. Where is Kyle Trask on the big board?
He's probably 5 or 6. I wouldn't want him. I personally would rather have Jamie Newman than Kyle Trask. But
really,
yeah, it's big. There's a big 4 of Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, and Lance, and then Mac Jones, depending on who you ask, is a first-round prospect. Trask doesn't feel like he's going to be going round 1 at this point, and Jamie Newman was the best at the Senior Bowl, and he's at least got the traits. Like, he's a really good athlete, really strong arm, so you at least feel like there's more upside. Kyle Trask, you just kind of feel like you know what he is.
All right, this is a great time then, as we'll do Super Bowl prop bets and everything this week. And Patrick, you mentioned hour number 1, just a much different Super Bowl week with the Bucs being at home, and then the Kansas City Chiefs not actually making the trip until much later in the week than they typically would. But the Matt Stafford trade going down on Saturday and really rocking the NFL to a large degree. We talked a lot, Bill, you're right, about the NFL and the draft coming up and the Deshaun Watson potentially being on the market, requesting the trade from the Texans. That was Friday's show. Patrick, how does the Matt Stafford trade now affect let's go with the Carolina Panthers specifically, and the Deshaun Watson situation overall in your mind?
Well, I think that was the first thing that a lot of people reacted to, saying, yikes, two ones for Stafford. It's definitely going to mean Deshaun Watson is going to net 4 ones, probably a couple more picks, and maybe a blue chip player on top of it. I mean, it's going to be crazy what they're going to get for him. And now the fact that a team that already sort of had a quarterback is the one that ended up trading for Matthew Stafford just doesn't – it means that there's one of those teams that was desperate for a QB is still remaining. So the Carolina Panthers, the Washingtons of the world that still need quarterbacks are going to be fighting each other. There's nobody that's out of the race now. And realistically, I mean, Adam Schefter notably said that he thinks there's going to be 18 new starting quarterbacks in the NFL this year, which is just an outrageous number. There's no way that's going to be true. But if there's 18 teams that are all going to be fighting over Deshaun Watson, somebody's going to be willing to sell the farm for that. And I don't know how long it's going to take, if it's going to be done before the draft, or because the Texans should not accept anything less than 4 ones, probably 6 or 7 total picks, and a player. I mean, it's going to be just nuts. It's going to be absolutely nuts what they get for him.
Here's where I'm confused. Matt Stafford wasn't necessarily disgruntled in Detroit. They were just kind of going to try to cash in, get some value for him while they could. I think it's a completely opposite situation with the Texans and Deshaun Watson, where Watson is just, I mean, he took all the Texan stuff off his social media deal. He's got a line in his bio like he's a college graduate for football inquiries now. It directs them to his agent. It's a different situation there. So I'm not buying that it's going to have some direct impact. Yeah, it probably affects it to some degree. But I don't think it just jacks up what the Texans can now ask for Deshaun Watson across the league. To me, what this showed is that the Rams gave up on Jared Goff. Absolutely gave up on him. Sean McVay was ready to move on, and they think they can win a Super Bowl next year, and they think Matt Stafford can do it for them, which I think is a wild assumption for a guy. Has he won a playoff game? Has he been a quarterback in a playoff game?
He's owned
Tim, I agree with you on Matt Stafford, on what the Rams are thinking, but I think they see the window now as we've got to make a move. Giving up those first-round picks, it's saying, hey, we've got the defense in place. We've got the playmakers in place. We need a competent quarterback. And you guys kind of brought it up, or maybe, Patrick, you brought it up, that Jared Goff and Sean McVay's relationship was kind of going downhill to begin with. I think it was y'all. Might have been Heath. I might have called Heath talking about that late last week. But the relationship between those two was kind of skewed. They're taking their chance. I love this. I love a move like this. The Rams are basically saying, hey, this is the missing piece. This is what we've talked about with the Dolphins, making the trade to get Deshaun Watson. And you feel like the Dolphins making that trade to get Deshaun Watson he's the final piece of the puzzle. If the Panthers hypothetically were to go for Deshaun Watson, I feel like they're still lacking in some in certain areas to go and win a Super Bowl. So I don't know what you're getting there. I feel like the Dolphins are close, and adding a Deshaun Watson puts them over the top. This is the Stafford move with the Rams. I really like that, and I'm kind of interested to see how it plays out. I will ask you guys, two press conferences on Friday after our show. You had David Culley, the new coach of the Texans. I asked you, he says in the press conference, and I don't know if you guys just talked about the coach speak, what he's supposed to say, but basically saying, hey, I know that Deshaun Watson is going to be the quarterback of the Texans. He is our guy. We're going forward with him. How much of that is coach speak? How much of that is him genuinely thinking he can get in there and save that relationship?
Well, he said, I wouldn't have taken this job if I took this job because Deshaun Watson's the quarterback. I think it's coach speak because there's no reason to say, yeah, we're going to trade him. But also he's hoping with everything that he has that Deshaun Watson will decide to stay. I think it's a little bit of both. It's just, I fully expected that to be said because there's just zero benefit to saying, yeah, unfortunately Deshaun's probably not going to be here, or even saying typical coach speak, we're going to coach the guys that are here, or something along those lines. There's just no reason to say it. Just butter up your quarterback as much as possible. Maybe he's receptive to you, and if not, it's just going to make the price tag go up higher. I mean, the Deshaun Watson wasn't my number one takeaway from the Matt Stafford trade. I mean, the only Deshaun Watson thing is just that if Matt Stafford's getting 2 1s, anyone that was expecting to send 3 1s and get Deshaun Watson back can just think again. It's absolutely not going to happen. He's more than twice as good as Matt Stafford, and he's going to demand more than twice the value. So that wasn't part of it. The big takeaway really was Jared Goff. I mean, I didn't realize at the time that the Rams ate $22 million of dead cap just to get rid of Jared Goff. Like, that is a crazy number. I thought the way people were talking about it was basically you send a 1 and a 3 for Stafford, and the second one is for them to eat Jared Goff's salary. But really, I think it's 2 1s for Matthew Stafford and a 3 to eat Jared Goff's salary, because the salary that the Lions picked up is not really that bad at all. the Rams have back-to-back the two biggest dead cap hits in the history of the NFL in eating Brandon Cook's salary and Jared Goff's salary, which is just insane when you also combine that with they're going to go 7 straight years without a first-round pick. Their only first-round pick on their roster is Aaron Donald. That was 2014. Then they took Todd Gurley, Jared Goff, and we'll go 7 years after that without a first-round pick. I don't know how you build a team that way, but they're still somehow competitive because of Sean McVay. But I do think Matthew Stafford is awesome. Like, I think he's completely underrated. That's why I don't completely hate it for LA. I kind of love it for LA because I think Matthew Stafford with Sean McVay combining those two minds, Matthew Stafford is criminally underrated in the NFL. So I could definitely see them making a huge run next year.
This strikes me as we're going to go for it for 3 years, and then we're going to trade everything we got for draft picks. I'm not saying no, but that's what I see when you talk about that with the draft picks and everything. I see the Rams saying we got 3 years here. Now the problem you still got the Chiefs sitting out there. You know, in the AFC. I know they're in the AFC, but I mean, you still got the Chiefs sitting out there. So
well, Matthew Stafford just jumped from a pretty weak NFC North to now he's got to square off against whoever the 49ers get at quarterback. They're probably going to make a change, and they're going to be back again because Nick Bosa will be back. Their defense will be strong again. That'll be a good team. You got Russell Wilson, and whatever happens with Arizona, they're at least young with a lot of potential. So that division's pretty brutal in itself.
So you had that press conference, and then I don't know if we have the audio. How do you pronounce the new Eagles coach's last name? Sirianni. Did we catch the smart football?
Oh, yeah. Yep. What a dope.
If you're an Eagles fan,
there's winning the press conference. Right, there's winning the press conference, and then there's that.
I love it. I mean, they should have hired Deuce Staley.
They should have.
So Deuce Staley's letter to Philadelphia this weekend too. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. There's talk about Sirianni being like a brilliant football mind, but nothing. You watch the Colts, and they're a good team on both sides of the ball, like a good, solid team, but their offense has never blown you away. They don't do anything crazy on offense. I don't get it. I don't think that's going to work out.
Maybe you can get that audio if people didn't hear
it.
I can get it. His breakdown of what the Eagles are going to do. I've read some after I saw his press conference on Friday. I thought, can't wait to see what some of the Philadelphia newspapers have to say about this on Saturday morning. So I spent a little bit of Saturday morning just checking out what was going on. They didn't rip him quite. It's almost like it was so bad that they didn't want to rip him a new one just yet for a questionable press conference. So we'll let you listen to that a little bit because that was the breakdown of smart football and mastering the system and easy to learn philosophies. All very confident. It may probably make you very confident if you're an Eagles fan.
Patrick touched on it there. That letter that Deuce Staley sent to the Eagles and Philadelphia at large, certainly worth a read for those of us around here who have followed Deuce a long time, ever since his airport high school days. And now I think it's interesting, and this gets back into our conversation with the Matt Stafford trade because he's going to the Lions now, joining that coaching staff. I think it's a great move what the Lions did.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of draft picks to build on at a time where Matt Stafford, I agree, he's a good quarterback, but clearly he hasn't been good enough to make Detroit a win. It's just that simple. So get the most value out of him. I think Jared Goff is a very serviceable NFL quarterback. Not much more than that, but he's going to be fine there for a couple of years. You get some good draft picks. You get a solid foundation. I like where the Lions went here, and I think it shows a savvy organization. I don't have a problem with what the Rams are doing. Because, Patrick, you mentioned they're not going to have first-round picks. Well, their first-round picks have been duds. Jared Goff was the number one, right? They
traded up for him. They traded their following first-round pick.
I mean, he did take him to a Super Bowl. You got to give him some credit there, but obviously Sean McVay didn't think he's going to be the guy. Todd Gurley, we know how that worked out with the Rams as well, being another high pick. So the New England Patriots have set the blueprint in the NFL for me. You certainly don't have to build your roster with first-round draft picks. And when you're a decent team, you get late first-round draft picks. The Rams' thought was there's not that much different than a late first-rounder and a second-rounder, and you take advantage of it while you can, and that's what they did.
And the Lions, I thought once the word came out that basically they were going to get a first-round pick and more for Matt Stafford, I was going to be happy with whatever the Lions got. It was going to work out. I like how the whole situation went because they also – it was a very it was a clean break, really. They let Matthew Stafford basically pick his team. There was rumors that Washington sent a better. Josina Anderson reported that Washington sent a better offer than LA did, but Matthew Stafford really wanted to go to LA and work with Sean McVay and be by the beach. Going from Detroit to LA is probably a wonderful thing. So I like how that worked out, and I just think, I don't know, the Detroit. I also love that they didn't go all in and say we need a first-round pick this year. A lot of teams really value the immediate first-round pick, but what they did is say you don't have a first-round pick this year because of the Jalen Ramsey trade, so ours are going to be in 22 and 23. And Matthew Stafford said that he's only going to play out his 2-year deal, his 2-year $46 million deal. He's not going to demand an extension or anything like that. So if he somehow only does play 2 years in LA, then that third year from now, they'll just fully tank, and they'll be sending that pick to Detroit. So potentially Detroit will get a very high pick at the tail end of this. And they've already got number 7 this year, so they can draft their quarterback and then kind of iron out all the rest of the roster in the next couple of years.
It is interesting. Stafford will be 33 on
this week, I think.
Yeah, February 7th. So what is that? That's Sunday. He'll be 33. I mean, I know we get caught up in Brady and Breeze and Roethlisberger, guys that are playing right up to 40. Stafford's had some injuries. I don't know if he's got 4 years, with him. It'll be interesting to see how long he can kind of sustain.
Well,
if he can go
through that. But if you look at how many games he's played, he's only not played 16 games once, I think. He's a tough dude.
He is. Oh, he is. And I don't mean to make
great video clip too on social media if you haven't seen it of him mic'd up and gets absolutely crushed. Yep. They call a timeout, so he's able to go back in. His shoulder's out of joint, throws a touchdown, and he's hobbling off the field saying, "It's out, it's out." And then somebody actually hits him on that shoulder, like gives him a good game time. He's like, "Oh,
yeah."
I'll retweet it right now.
You're right, Patrick. I like that for the Lions, who have lost. I mean, the Lions are in all of American sports. When you talk about losing Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson, we're just like, "Yep, not playing for this organization anymore. Getting out of here." Getting rid of Matthew Stafford and giving yourself a chance to rebuild your organization. So I hope it works out for both sides. I hope Stafford goes and has a strong year or two with the Rams. And I see your dad also a big fan.
Eagles, yeah.
Senior Carrot is.
Let's go with the Washington connections, right? So this came out in the Washington Post, I guess, over the weekend. Jay Gruden, you saw this, I'm sure, Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
Quote, when it came our time to pick, we'd always talk about the picks, where we'd like to go, what happens if the player's gone, did all our scenarios, and then Daniel Snyder would come in off his yacht and make the pick. Jay Gruden did.
The owner would come in off his yacht. That's what everybody calls him. He's like Voldemort. Like, people won't say his name; they just say the owner. It's wild.
Oh, that's impressive. Also, another Washington note, certainly on the end of the spectrum. Good to see Ron Rivera. He put up the social media picture. It says cancer-free. He's through that battle, it looks like, and great news for the former Carolina Panthers head coach, who just, I don't know of anyone that says a bad word about Ron Rivera when it comes to his reputation in football. And one other note to go with that Matt Stafford trade over to LA. You guys saw the Clayton Kershaw connection? I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah. They're playing youth baseball together.
Really?
And football.
Friends, yeah.
So Kershaw was his center in football, Matt Stafford's, and then Stafford was Kershaw's catcher growing up.
If you watch enough, I guess the Lions don't play on prime time very often, but when the prime time games, they play those little, I don't know what you even call them, Tim. You're the TV guy, you would know that. But like when Matt Stafford's taking the field, they'll play a little thing and highlight the two faces of Stafford and Kershaw, and that's why there was a lot of rumors about, well, maybe the Cowboys just let Dak walk. They don't tag him, and they just go get Matthew Stafford. Maybe that'll happen, and the kid will come home because he's from outside Dallas. But, yeah.
803-404-6100 is the number into the program. We got to get into Gamecock basketball when we come back. Let you hear some of what Frank Martin had to say after that disappointing 12-point loss at Vandy over the weekend. USC women's basketball on the other end of the spectrum with another record for Dawn Staley. That's next. It's the early game here on 175.
Clear. All right, Corley.
Okay. sitting here looking outside right now. It's cold, it's raining, but you know what? A few months from now, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be hot. You're going to come home after a long day of work, and you're going to be ready to jump in your pool. But if it's not maintained, and that means starting today, if it's not maintained properly, you're going to be doing all the work. You're going to have to be going to the store. You're going to have to figure out which chemicals you need to put in your pool. It's a lot of hard work for you when you've already been working all day. You want your pool ready and accessible when you get home so you and the kids can jump in and have a good time. That's why you need to give Corley Pool Solutions a call, 803-445-8109. Maintaining your pool is a year-round process, and with Corley Pool Solutions, you can get a flat rate. They'll maintain your pool monthly. They'll take care of you. Tracy's been in the business for over 20 years, and he is an expert. You hear me talk about gurus on this station? Tracy Corley is a guru of the pool maintaining business, and with Corley Pool Solutions, you are in great hands. That means starting to maintain your pool today. It's a year-round process. You don't want to have to do all the hard work, all the things that come along with it. You want to just be able to enjoy your pool. You want your kids, your family to be able to enjoy your pool. And if it's not maintained properly, that's not going to happen. So don't mess around. Use the guru, use the expert, Tracy Corley with Corley Pool Solutions. Give him a call today, 803-445-8109. Again, 803-445-8109. That's Corley Pool Solutions.
So, Bill, where was Arik Gilbert from? Do you remember?
He's from Georgia, I think. He's from the state of Georgia.
Gotcha.
Can't remember which high school.
Homesick at LSU to go to Florida, huh?
That check finally went through. It's time to go find another one. Marietta High School in Georgia.
What check?
Arik Gilbert he's talking about. I was just wondering where he's from originally. Marietta is the answer, Bill got us.
Yeah, because everybody thought he was going to go to Georgia because the rumor was that he was homesick and wanted to get away, but
right.
I guess he doesn't like gumbo.
From what I understand, they sold him on being the next Kyle Pitts, which, I mean, right now, take advantage of that Kyle Pitts stuff.
Yeah.
Easy sell.
Well, I guess physically he can do that because he's one of the most freakish human beings.
Oh, Mike, congratulations, Mike. Didn't know we did those endorsements live. Now you know.
Some of them are recorded.
Yeah, some of them are, Mike, but most of them during a show, if you're hearing that, typically they are live.
Yeah, the ones like right after the segment and before the commercial break started live. But like there is a Zero Rest coming up here that I'm assuming you recorded, Tim.
Yeah, hey, we need to cut. I got to cut a sleep number with you here at the end of the show or something.
So when is Zero Res live this morning, Patrick?
Always. I texted 8:20. I thought I texted you.
Thank you. You might have. I don't look at the phone much during this thing. Yep. Thank you. So we'll come back with Frank on the first possession.
Okay.
That work for you?
Yeah, I found that Stafford video. It's awesome.
You got the Stafford video?
Yeah.
Well, so we're going to play maybe in the 8 o'clock hour the Eagles coach.
Yeah, I'll record it right now.
Got him working this morning.
It's pretty classic.
Yeah, I listened to some of it. It was so bad, I listened to some of it. Like, oh, I can't listen to this anymore. It's just cringeworthy.
We want to be a smart team. We'll make everything easy to understand.
Yeah.
We're smart.
Yeah. What? We're gonna have smart football players, smart plays. Like, oh man, poor guy. It was like he'd never done any kind of press conference before ever.
I don't even know what I just I didn't even listen to it while I was recording it, but I saw at the end Michael Scott pops up, so somebody's clearly just making it. Man, I have to double check this.
Bill W. Patrick, Bill, did you see my social media tweet about juniors in basketball?
No.
Okay, then I'll pose it to you. I'll give you a little heads up on there. Outside of Scottie Pippen Jr., do you know?
No, I did see that. Oh, junior, like. So
do you know of another junior out there, like son of a player with the same name? I don't know of any.
You know that's out there now?
Yeah, or just in the last couple of decades.
Well, LeBron James Jr. will be there pretty soon.
Yeah.
Junior played at what? Oklahoma State?
No 16-year-olds. Who was that?
There was a kid at I'll look. I thought there was one that was just at St. John's, but he might have transferred. It was either St. John's or Rutgers.
It's Hardaway's kid. Is it Tim Hardaway Jr.? Is that right? Or is he?
Well, there is Tim Hardaway.
Yeah,
he's in the.
Yeah, he's good. This was the Michael Scott clip at the end of Bill. This is what was playing at the end of the Nick Sirianni video.
Sometimes I'll start a sentence, and I don't even know where it's going. I just tell my buddy along the way.
I thought you were also going to refer to the point. Can you be a junior if you don't spell your name the same as your dad's?
Yeah, I put that out there.
I saw that one. Yeah.
The Y versus the IE. No, that's a word nerd thing, not a great radio conversation.
All right, we're coming back.
Yeah, Frank, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so these maybe we'll get plugged into the show here for the show audience. Get through this awkward silence on the live stream. Going back into the show. We're working on week two. We're getting there. Thank you for your patience. Now we're getting a little 50 Cent pity in the background of Frank.
When you're completely out of sync to the basic rules that you go into a game with, on the first possession, you got zero chance of ever getting it right.
Frank Martin, post-game comments after the 93-81 loss to Vanderbilt, which was Vandy's first SEC win since playing the Gamecocks last year in Nashville, that Frank said he had actually shown his team and mentioned that they were 60 in the net ranking, I think, at the time, and on the verge of really working themselves into serious NCAA tournament consideration, and thought that would help to give a little extra motivation. And clearly we saw the opposite. And Gamecock fans frustrated, disappointed. I think a lot of them maybe at a loss or confused. I don't know what the best word is to describe it. There are a lot of emotions. Poor Chuck was texting our text line Saturday night, just in all caps. I counted 19 of them. Just apologized the next day. I get emotional. I understand, Chuck. I'm glad the text line was there for you, man. I hope it helped you work that thing out.
How were you reading that in your head, by the way?
What's that?
I want to find his text because I always read them in my head as screaming because he put all caps.
Sure.
I'm trying to find where these messages were.
Well, this one got screaming, and then you're going to enjoy it. Patrick's just giggling.
There was some issues that he was working through late Saturday evening.
He's yelling, "Wow! I'm so embarrassed, ashamed." Got some expletives in there. Speechless. USC men's b-ball worst. But then the next day at 1 in the afternoon, I guess he's going through his text message because he probably ran to a lot of people and goes, "Sorry, apologies." All caps. I too often let my emotions take over. You do an awesome job. Go Gamecocks.
That's a different voice than I have in my head reading those. But Chuck is not alone in his thoughts for sure. And I don't know how you watch that as a Gamecock fan and not be just beside yourself. Maybe the only way I can figure, Bill, is if you've kind of chalked this season up as just completely unique and all the COVID issues, you give a complete pass. I don't think most fans watch games that way or have come to that conclusion watching college basketball, because actually it was a pretty good day of college basketball overall on Saturday. The SEC wins 5 out of the 9 SEC Big 12 Challenge games. So from that standpoint, a solid showing. And then you're in position, from a Gamecock perspective, to bounce back. You obviously bounced back from that brutal Auburn loss. You changed the defense, and you played tremendously. Got your second 24-point conference win against a pretty bad Georgia team, which I think Vanderbilt is right below in the standings going into this thing. So I expected to see a similar type performance. I expected Vandy to play better than Georgia. I thought Georgia played awful in Columbia on Wednesday night. But I expected the Gamecocks to play kind of like we saw, a team that looked a lot more comfortable playing that style of defense, a sagging man-to-man or a gap-heavy, however you put it, and could get into a rhythm. And they did on that. Bill, you pointed out it's a brutal start, right? 30-13 was the start for the Gamecocks. And then a 14-0 run, 30-27, right back in it. And I thought the better team would eventually take over and win the game in South Carolina, and the exact opposite happened. Vandy goes on a massive, I think, 20-2 run, opens up a 30-point lead, and that 12-point final margin, not indicative of how bad it was for Carolina on Saturday night.
Yeah, and you know, we're now at a point where I get it. It has been. I think our realistic approach is you understand that there have been issues with this basketball team this year that are beyond their control, and that you understand that. But that we also understand that the starting, well, not even the starting 5, what the first 7 really, I guess the only one that's really missed time is Jalen McCrary. Again, we talked about that when you look at the fact that even 7th Wood, 7th has struggled, but 7th Wood, Trey Hannibal,
Lonzo Frank was in the starting lineup.
That's true. Well, but I meant for the last month. I mean, for the month of January, you know, I don't know all the details of what their practice is like, but the bottom line is you can understand and you can be realistic that it is a weird year, that some things happened to this team in the month of December that really put them behind the 8 ball, but you've had a month to adjust and to grow and to practice and to figure things out. And again, this is a veteran team, and this is an extremely, by college basketball standards, this is an extremely experienced team. When you talk about guys like Lawson, Bryant, and Cousinar, Minaya, how long has Minaya been in South Carolina now? 4 years? Where is he at on the – I don't even know what he's at now, but that's 4 guys with 3 years of experience. You know, Trey Hannibal's been around now for a year and a half. He's not a young guy anymore. Williams Levesque is not what I consider a young guy anymore. 7th Woods has played college basketball for 5 years now. I mean, there is experience in this group that it would be, I think, different if we looked at it and there was 7 new faces, 8 new names to the roster, and they're trying to figure out Frank Martin's trying to figure out them. But even with all the issues, this is a team that has been around Frank Martin for 3 years. Most of them 3 years. And you're still seeing some issues here, almost like it's a brand new team with freshmen.
So what happens now is my question after this, because it's the most confusing team I've ever seen. I say this year in and year out, that once I think I understand Gamecock basketball, they prove me wrong the next time out, one way or the other. But to see a team that's 2-4 in conference play, those 2 wins have come by 24 points each against 2 different teams that were very much on the same level, actually a notch or 2 above the team they just played that was winless, hadn't won a game since the last time Carolina went over to Nashville and Vanderbilt. Where do you go from here after what you just saw, Bill? And especially after listening to Frank Martin, it definitely sounded like he was at a loss from where to go from here. He concluded, I think, the media session on Saturday night saying he's figured it out before. It's his job to figure it out. He's done it before. But there is no NCAA tournament run possible at this point for this team. You win the rest of your games. still don't even think it's possible unless you just absolutely dominate and go on one of the greatest runs in basketball history. So from a program perspective, you've also brought up you don't know what the team's going to look like next year. Where do you go from here is my question.
I don't know. Because of what you just said, I don't know what's going to happen in the off season. I go back to Frank Martin's comments last week, I believe, where he sounds exhausted. I don't want to speak I don't want to guess on anybody's health. But if you look at Frank, he looks exhausted. And I know he is. And I know he's a competitor. I know that he puts 110% of himself into his job and those kids. And I know it's been a long, almost a year for him, going back to, I guess, the first time he got the virus back in May. And I know that this is a job he thoroughly enjoys, but he invests so much, he looks worn out. And I think to an extent, he's talked about it. Everything that the kids have gone through, they look worn out. This looks like a team. This looks like a program right now that is just beaten down and worn out. And I don't know where they're going to go. I don't know where they're going to go. And I really feel for all of them because we're on the outside. All of us are still on the outside. We're not the ones that have to go to practice today or that have to continue to do whatever those players are doing in terms of quarantining or staying away from the student population or whatever it is they have to do, whatever the protocol is. I have no clue. But they look worn out. And Frank Martin just looks, and you can hear that. You talked about it. You hear that in his voice. And where you go from here, I don't know. There's South Carolina basketball is what it is in terms of history and tradition. And I don't know what the next step is for them. I think you got to get through the season. And then I think Frank and Ray Tanner will probably sit down and have a discussion. And who knows where we stand with this basketball team in mid-April.
Florida is up next on the schedule, Wednesday in Gainesville. That's a 6:30 tip on the SEC network. We'll have coverage starting at 6 o'clock. Florida just got a big win over the weekend. Mentioned that SEC Big 12 Challenge, and they win at number 11, West Virginia, put up 48 points in the second half to win that thing by 5 and come from behind and doing it against a guy that obviously Frank leans on and I think considers a friend, maybe mentor at the same time, and Bob Huggins, very similar styles. So Frank Martin has always had Mike White and his number in Florida by and large in his time there, and could use a win in that kind of matchup again to feel a lot better about things and the direction of the program right now. Georgia, by the way, who Carolina had played last midweek and dominated, they win by 10 against Ole Miss to continue to make me confused about what's going on in the SEC. So Georgia improves to 3-6 in SEC play. That was the other conference game. Everybody else playing those Big 12 SEC Challenge games where Mississippi State hammers Iowa State, who has 6 scholarship guys or something crazy. It was Mike Boynton, the former Gamecock player, and now the head coach at Oklahoma State. His team getting a solid 4-point win against Arkansas at home. Texas A&M, the other team that Carolina's beaten in conference play, they go to Kansas State, Frank Martin's old school, and get a 7-point win there. Tennessee hammers Kansas by 19. Missouri comes back and beats TCU at home 102-98. LSU blows the game at home against Texas Tech. Heck of a comeback by Texas Tech in that one. That was a fun one to watch. Texas Tech wins by 5 there. Oklahoma beats the class of the SEC, an Alabama team that had won 10 straight. Oklahoma, a 5-point winner there in Norman. And Baylor handles Auburn by 12. Just to go through all of the basketball on Saturday. Yesterday, it was Don Staley and company getting their record 25th straight regular season win in SEC play. They did it in comeback fashion as well. Alabama got out to a quick lead, and then it was all Carolina, especially in the third quarter. The Gamecocks down by 1 at half, and they were on to win by 24 points. Zia Cook leading the way. She had 12 of her 21 in that third quarter. The 18th straight win over Alabama in the series, and the 28th in a row, if you count some conference games, or conference tournament games, I should say, against SEC opponents, and the record 25 in a row in regular season play for Dawn Staley and company. 87-63 again, that final score. Carolina now a 2-game road trip coming up at Auburn on Thursday is their next ball game, a 7 o'clock tip-off time. We'll get back into some football stuff, college specifically. Big transfer over to Florida, and Nick Saban pops up on the internet with a recruiting video, a Zoom call to a recruit. Our thoughts on that is next. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Clear. All right, got it.
One month in 2021 is now over. We start February today. We're moving forward. Life continues to move forward. Things continue to improve. One of the things that might change is interest rates. Now is the time. If you're thinking about refinancing or you're thinking about buying a new home, you don't want to miss a great opportunity. Get in touch with First Palmetto Bank and Jacob Crowder today. He's a mortgage guru for a reason, can help save you money. Give them a phone call, 803-719-1005. You can also email them the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER, at firstpalmetto.com. You'd be surprised. Interest rates are still very low. You can save money on your monthly mortgage payment. You just need to start the process. See what Jacob and his team can do for you. 803-719-1005. That's his cell phone. You can actually shoot him a text message. You can actually get in touch with him that way. He can text you back some things. You can schedule a conversation for later in the day, but don't wait around. Take a great opportunity and run with it. 803-719-1005. It's the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder. We're First Palmetto Bank.
Got a couple of texts about basketball I'll start with, and then we'll get into the old Arik Gilbert and Saban stuff.
All right.
How's that coffee for wellness treating you?
It's good. It's good. I mean, this. I think it's a big adjustment going from putting creamer in there and changing the flavor to just straight black coffee. So, but I worked out Sunday, worked out Friday afternoon and Sunday, got a good workout in, drank black coffee all weekend, or in the morning during the weekend. That was not my beverage of choice all weekend, but it was pretty good, man. It's we're getting there. I looked yesterday. I'd like to try something new, but I do like this. But a lot of people were suggesting that Black Rifle coffee. And so I want to probably get a bag of that. It looks like you can go purchase it at Walmart is what I saw. So instead of ordering it, it looks like you can go purchase it, but it sounds pretty good. And so I wouldn't mind ordering that. I don't know, or going and buying that, or I'll probably need to make a decision late in the week as to if I need to order another bag of this coffee for wellness. But I'll definitely order another bag. I just would like to try something new one time and then either come back to this or.
Played pickup basketball on Saturday. Oh, worst of my life. Just terrible.
Oh boy. Yeah, my gym regimen is. I was talking to somebody about that yesterday about like the stuff I do at the gym in terms of getting on the elliptical and not pounding on your ankles or your knees. I can't get Black Rifle. All right, well, that's disappointing to just learn. Is there somewhere I can buy Black Rifle coffee?
There's so many good coffees that you can get.
Bill's just having his own conversations there on the text line there with Javo. So, Patrick, when the last time you played pickup basketball? Full court.
Not within 3 years.
So when you were in college, maybe?
Yeah, we probably played a couple times in college.
Probably.
A couple times.
Maybe my first year at Carolina.
Whoa, that's a lot more than 3 years, isn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, that's 5. That's almost 6 years. I mean, one thing I did when we went home was like there was a little half court that we would just play like 21 on or something like that. That's the closest I've come to real basketball.
Gotcha.
I mean, I haven't played lacrosse in that long either, though.
Yeah,
More than that.
but I don't think you just go out and play a pickup game of lacrosse, do you?
Not here. Not in South Carolina.
Sure. I think they do it down near Colonial Life. Maybe they just have intramural. Do they have intramural lacrosse, Patrick, or no?
They have club. No, I don't think they have intramural. They have club.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you can go up to the gym. There's a rec gym here in Lexington. If I go up on Saturday afternoon, I don't know who's playing, but usually there's a game you can get involved in. I know that there used to be a really good pickup game at lunch for a lot of, I'd say, older people, early 30s, mid 30s at Saxagatha Church that I would go play in.
Yeah, well, a bunch of my friends are in like beer league, lacrosse leagues with just 25 to 35-year-old people. That it's just as common as anything else.
I got you.
But not around here, right?
No, not around here. I would do that if it was around here.
Someone
Start
got
it up,
started.
man. Start it up.
Yeah, I'm busy now.
I know what gun range you're talking about. They used
on
to
that.
sell it, or you think they might? Hey, this is what I use. This is what we're going to use the chat line for. I'm able to get information here. We exchange
So many good types of coffee that you can get.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Bill W. from West Columbia on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100 if you would like to join. Gamecock men's basketball rec league offense in the first half plus Scottie Pippen kryptonite plus poor defense equals disaster. When is the first pitch? Bill W. says. And Tim and Chapin right off of that says the guy who garners my sympathy the most is Mark Kingston right now. Do you realize how bad of a mood Gamecock fans will be in going into this year's baseball season? At some point, the football and basketball programs need to do something to help out baseball coaches so those guys aren't starting behind the 8 ball every season with the fans. There's definitely something to that. Fortunately, from the Gamecock perspective, there is Dawn Staley and the USC women's team as well, who continues to roll and won their 28th straight, if you count postseason games in the SEC yesterday, and 25th, a new record of regular season SEC wins. But there is that environment, no doubt, when the Gamecocks will get it going on February 19th, now 2 weeks from this Friday, was announced the other day. First Carolina baseball game going.
We talk about that every year, right? Like if you lose the first series, everyone's just ready to quit the whole season because they're already salty about football and basketball.
That has been the case here in the last couple of years. Bill, your boy Arik Gilbert. No, I guess I shouldn't say your boy, but your program there, program that you like to rip on. Florida gets Arik Gilbert, the talented tight end from LSU, and Nick Saban pops up on a Zoom call to a recruit. Interesting college football notes to discuss as we roll into hour number 3. Is Arik Gilbert going to be the next Kyle Pitts at Florida, Bill?
Could be. No reason not to be. I gotta go put some socks on. I'm cold.
That was a great face, Patrick.
Do you know what it was for?
What's that?
You know what it was from?
From Hope's text there?
Yeah. Like, dude.
That's what we're starting a community here. It's a community. That's all we.
That's not what I was. Never mind.
Yes.
So Josh Heupel was really good in college, huh?
Sorry?
Josh Heupel was a really good college football player.
Oh, yeah. So no
I didn't even know
Oklahoma.
that.
rolling.
I didn't even know that because I saw that he did not retain Chris Winkie.
Right, the Heisman
The
voting.
headline was Josh Heupel fires the only person who edged him out in Heisman voting.
Yeah.
I totally did not realize he was Heisman caliber college football player.
Crazy, right? That's what happens when you get drafted in the 6th round and you're an NFL guy. And
Also
you never
love
made
this.
a team.
The list of year 2000 Heisman Trophy voting was Winkie, Heupel, then Drew Brees, and LaDainian Tomlinson.
Crazy, right?
Then Michael Vick at 6.
Right.
Yikes. I guess that was just before. I mean, it was sort of before my time, but I knew he played in the NFL, kind of, as a practice squad player. Yeah, 2 years.
I think so.
Yeah, I just, from looking at his Wikipedia page, it says as a player in the NFL, and he had 2 seasons on the practice squad.
Right. Also says compromised by shoulder tendonitis, relegated to 4th string for the preseason, failed to make the team of the Dolphins, then later signed with the Packers the next year, released a month before training camp.
Was he a running quarterback? Do you remember him?
Nope. Oh, yeah, I remember. No, lefty.
Huh.
But this is back when Oklahoma was dominating because 3 years later, Jason White wins the Heisman. A few years after that, they had Sam Bradford win the Heisman. I mean, not that much different than what they've been doing recently, I guess.
No. And Jason White was the first one that I understood that there's a difference between college and the NFL because he won the Heisman and then promptly retired the next year. And I was so confused. Like, how is he not the number 1 pick in the NFL draft? And how is he not starting right away? And I learned that it's a different type of skill set.
Faux show. Yeah, Eric Crouch might have been that guy for me. Well, actually, Doug Flutie was the really confusing one.
Because he was,
Flutie was the
but
man.
he figured it out, sort of.
Well, that's weird that they don't have him down. Did Flutie not win the Heisman? He did, right?
Yeah,
I haven't gone back that far on my little list here. Yeah, in '84. And then, it was 2 guys in a row, him and Bo Jackson. Neither one. They both went USFL Bo Jackson just did the old, I'm going to go play baseball. Sorry, Tampa Bay Bucks.
And it was Herschel that went USFL, but tried to undo that, right?
Yeah, I think so. And Herschel and Doug Flutie, I used to watch them on ESPN for the New Jersey Generals.
Have you seen that 30 for 30, Who Killed the USFL?
Yeah, pretty good.
That's a good one. Yeah, Herschel still is the all-time leading rusher in the SEC.
I think they were owned by Trump, too, back in the day.
Yeah, he's that's who the documentary, I think, kind of targets as one of the people. Or just the general greed of trying to compete with the NFL instead of just keep doing your thing.
Yeah, Craig, it'll be interesting to hear Orth's take on the preferred walk-on. I'm guessing he's going to tell you he's a really good player. Obviously, I saw the highlights, that one-handed catch. He's got one-handed touchdown grab, and then the stats in the state championship game, pretty good. Eric King, I think is his name.
Eric Rice.
Is it Rice? My bad.
I think it's Rice, yeah.
Eric King. But who is the last walk-on to be a really good player? Hayden Hurst, for sure, and Perry knew about that. Outside of that.
All right, we are back. Where's Bill?
He's in.
For about 3 minutes. Just listen to y'all talk. Doug Flutie discussion and the Eric King.
You're up.
A Super Bowl week unlike any other, I should say. Like no other. Either way. Screw it up one way or another. Also, college football. Not a ton of movement over the weekend. Did see Josh Heupel address the Tennessee crowd on the big screen there and kind of rally Rocky Top. I think he was well received by and large. SEC football news, the transfer tight end from LSU, Arik Gilbert, going over to Florida. And Nick Saban popped up on social media giving his recruiting pitch on a Zoom call to a recruit. Certainly an interesting video to check out for a couple of minutes if you want to do that. And in college basketball, opposite ends of the spectrum for Dawn Staley and the USC women, winning their 25th straight regular season game in SEC play, and Frank Martin and the Carolina men losing to previously winless in conference play Vandy by 12, and it wasn't even that close in Nashville on Saturday night. So that's how we start hour number 3. Glad you're with us. Hope your Monday is off to a good start. Let's start with that Super Bowl week. Patrick, you said you are a Super Bowl week guy. I actually took part in that thing. Now it's 17 years ago. I'm so old. Super Bowl 38. Patriots, Panthers in Houston. Went down there as part of the TV contingent there for ABC Columbia. It was still Channel 25, I think, at the time. I forget what they were calling it at the time. But being just a part of all that kind of turned me off to all the hype. It's so much not about football and Super Bowl, and I'm just not that guy. You know, that was the famous one with Timberlake and Janet Jackson at halftime. I didn't even know about it until like the next day, and I was there. I was getting a hot dog at halftime underneath the stadium. Had no idea. Yeah. But being a part of all that, it just, man, it's a circus. It's kind of like everything that I don't like about sports is attached to the Super Bowl, where you get a bunch of people that come to a city, typically, not this year, obviously in Tampa, but for the parties and to be seen and all of that hot kind of Hollywood stuff. It comes along with Super Bowl. You're into it typically. Why?
I just like how you can feel how important it is. I feel like from the Monday of Super Bowl week, you can feel how big the moment is. You can see all the stuff. The ESPN will be on location with the backdrop of the stadium, and everything looks big. The banners all over the stadium, and then I guess I don't know. Have you heard anything about Media Day? I don't know if that's even going to be a thing. I guess they'll just do their normal Zoom press conferences, and it'll be really boring. But Media Day is a big deal with the whole press contingent. It looks like the exact type of thing, like sort of like a New Year's Eve in Times Square. Like, it looks like something I would never want to take part in, but I appreciate that other people are out there doing it for me. And I love just the guys sitting on the podium getting grilled for an hour straight. And then the game itself, I love the Super Bowl game because it's a normal football game, but when the cameras are out there and all the flash bulbs in the crowd and everything, everything about it just feels big. And that's why I like championship games. You can never not feel how big the moment is.
Yeah, I've just flipped over to ESPN just to kind of see. They're talking to Adam Schefter right now about the trade from Stafford to the Rams. But I was looking to see if they've got Mike Greenberg on location, and it looks like they might have him down there in Tampa. You are right. I mean, I'll admit Dan Patrick comes on after us, obviously. I've always enjoyed during the Super Bowl week they get the setup or whatever, the way they build them kind of a little area, the guests that they're able to roll through.
Oh, the guests are huge, yeah.
You know, because of what's going on. But it's going to be interesting to see the hype, I guess, for this Super Bowl, because I as we started the show talking about it, I feel like there should be more. I feel like I should be more involved in it, more intrigued. But I just feel like we're heading for a blowout. It feels like the Chiefs are an unstoppable force. You've given them 2 weeks to whatever was wrong with Patrick Mahomes to kind of heal, for him to get healthy again. Who was it who said last week, made the comment after the AFC Championship game, that the Bucs can't fall for Patrick Mahomes' old man jog that he does after every play to kind of trick you into thinking he's banged up or whatever. But it feels like they're getting healthy. I do agree. I forget who brought it up earlier. Maybe the most underrated aspect. We always talk about Tom Brady, about Gronk, about playoff Lenny there for the Bucs. But their defense has been really, really good during this run, and that is the one that they contain Mahomes on Sunday evening.
And Vita Vea was the best nose tackle in football. He came back for the NFC Championship. It was his first game back. So another 2 weeks of him, just an anchor, like takes 3 people just to move him. So him and Ndamukong Suh, along with Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett, they will be the only path to victory for Tampa Bay, I feel like. Because Tom Brady will score some points, He'll probably score, I don't know, what's enough for Tom Brady to win the game? 30, 35 points?
I was going to say, you're talking into the 30s.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I just hope it comes down to that kind of game. Both teams in the 30s and back and forth, because too many times in the playoffs recently, I get tricked really quick, and Kansas City goes down double digits, and I feel like they're in big trouble, and then all of a sudden they flip the switch, and it is like the other team can't do anything. The dam breaks, and they're done. And I think Tampa Bay's defense is good enough, I'm hoping anyway, to make some adjustments and to limit them, to make a few big plays of their own and to battle back. I don't know though. And Tom Brady's going to have to be, I feel like, near perfect for them to continue to match what Kansas City is just going to bring, because that offense is ridiculous.
I will say it feels like when you expect something in the Super Bowl, that's not what you get. I think, was it the Patriots and the Rams 2 years ago? I think we thought would be a little bit more high scoring, and it ended up being pretty much a dud of a game, 13-3, and the Patriots won that game and really shut down Jared Goff and the Rams. Last year I think kind of maybe lived up to what we expect. I don't know what the Vegas spread was on last year's game. Was it a touchdown? Do we remember? I'm sure we can look that up real quick.
I thought it was like 6 points. It's usually not that high for Super Bowl though, so it probably honestly was around 3 points, like this one was.
So and Patrick, you pointed out early on in the show, Vegas right now is hoping like crazy for a Tampa win, because a lot of money coming in on the Chiefs right now at 3.5.
Okay, so that's the Super Bowl Monday anyway, Super Bowl week kicking off. The NFL, you touched on it briefly there, Bill, really rocked with the Matt Stafford trade to the Rams, I think, and everything that Detroit got for him, everything that LA gave up for him, including quarterback Jared Goff and the contract situation that was involved. And now how does this affect the potential Deshaun Watson trade out of the Houston Texans, where they introduced their coach that nobody had really heard of on Friday? And Bill, you pointed out that he said he fully plans on Deshaun Watson being the quarterback there. I fully plan on that not being the case. The Carolina Panthers in the mix as far as teams that are interested, and I know Matt Stafford was a possibility as well for them. They were reportedly one of about 8 teams that had offered something to the Detroit Lions in trying to make a deal there. So what happens now with Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans with having seen that Matt Stafford deal? I think Patrick, you mentioned a little bit earlier in the show about how the initial reaction was, man, if the Lions are going to get all of that, if the Rams are willing to give up all of that for Matt Stafford, imagine how much the Texans are going to get for Deshaun Watson. But I think it's a much different situation. I don't think it's apples to apples because of the ugly divorce that Deshaun Watson is basically filed for in Houston.
So you think you're saying that the fact that it's ugly means people won't give up as much for him because
they understand how much he wants out of there. They understand how it's a
so it's more of a leverage thing than we don't want the player that might demand a trade from our team afterwards. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. It has appeared the front office of the Texans is incompetent. And I know that some of those trades were Bill O'Brien, but
was incompetent. I mean, they do have a GM now which is also a weird thing. Like, he's from the Patriots, so everybody says, "Oh, the Patriots, they do business well." But the Patriots has never had a great roster. Like, it feels like Tom Brady has always built. It's always been Belichick has done more with these players that you've never heard of and turned players you've never heard of into superstars, and they do it with kind of no-name guys that turn into stars, and then they go elsewhere and they all stink. So I don't know that you've ever looked at the Patriots roster, especially the last 3 to 5 years, and said that's a really good roster. I mean, the roster when they lost to the Titans in the playoffs 2 years ago, Tom Brady's last season, was a terrible, terrible roster.
Yeah,
and the first time they drafted a wide receiver in the first round, N'Keal Harry, was horrible.
I mean, there's been a ton of mistakes there by the Texans. Like you said, it's potentially become what you said. Going in, it was the worst job out there to be had, given the roster management, the salary cap management. I still don't think they have good leadership there in the front office. And now you're having to find a way to get rid of your best player. I mean, it's going to be a rebuild for them. And I think, to Tim's point, what can they potentially get back knowing that Watson wants out? Like, are they at a disadvantage now? I think with Deshaun Watson, for a team like the Carolina Panthers who still need a bunch of different parts, you're not really in a position to give away a bunch of draft picks for one guy. That doesn't save your franchise. But if you're somebody like, say, the Dolphins, who I think are in a good spot, the 49ers are a great example. You know, would you say those are the two teams that probably are a quarterback away from making a Super Bowl run?
Oh,
those,
yeah, the two teams, yeah.
Best?
Those would be the best landing spots if I'm Deshaun Watson, yeah. But I feel like the two teams that have the best chance of getting him just have to be the teams picking at number 2 and 3. Or unless Jacksonville came out of nowhere, Jacksonville would easily have the best chance. But they're going to want a pick this year. The Texans are going to want to pick this year because they don't have a first or second because of that ridiculous Larry McTunsil trade. And they're going to want it to be a high pick because they're going to want that first pick to turn into a quarterback. This is the year to take a quarterback. So if they can't get into the top 3 or top 5, if they think that maybe Fields or Wilson will fall, it's kind of for nothing. I mean, that's why I think it's kind of weird that people are talking about, oh, well, they can get the Dolphins trade and they can get Tua and that number 3 pick. Well, if you have that number 3 pick, it's going to be a quarterback. So what's the point of even including Tua in that trade? Or the Jets can throw the number 2 pick and Darnold. I mean, maybe if you want to just take Darnold and draft Justin Fields and let them compete against each other, you can do that. But Darnold's kind of a throwaway piece of that trade. So if the Dolphins are also run by Patriot leadership because it's the Brian Flores staff, and they don't overtrade for anybody. So I feel like the Jets have to be the heavy favorite here. Second-year GM Joe Douglas wants to make his presence felt. They haven't had a quarterback situation.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. How does a no-trade clause work here? Because you say that, do you think – exactly. And is that a situation he wants – like, does he want to get out of Houston so badly that he's willing to go to the Jets?
Yeah. I think he wants to go to the Jets. The Jets have been rumored to be one of his preferred destinations.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think he loves New York and the big stage and the lights. I mean, when you're Deshaun Watson, I think you understand how good you are, and you think that no matter what, it's going to be, I'm going to make it work there. And they drafted a cornerstone left tackle in Mekhi Becton last year, who's a monster. They do have Jamison Crowder, who's a nice little underneath piece for you. They have Rashad Perryman, and they drafted Denzel Mims from Baylor last year, who's a pretty good player. There are a few targets there. They're not – I mean, they're a bad team, don't get it twisted, but there are things to build around.
And from that standpoint, too, when you are a superstar quarterback in the NFL, you think you can go turn it around. And Deshaun Watson would get all the credit for turning around the Jets. In New York City, then the world is your oyster at that point. Harry hits us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, says, Watson still has the leverage. There's so many teams that want him. Bidding war. It's not about the Texans.
I mean, imagine how big he would be. He'd be the biggest athlete in the world if he brought if you bring the Jets to a Super Bowl, maybe the most high-profile, dysfunctional. Same thing with the Knicks. Like, if Kevin Durant or LeBron had decided, I'm going to go to the Knicks and I'm going to bring the Knicks to a championship, I mean, it would have been just enormous. We don't maybe realize because we're so far removed from New York City, but that market is just enormous, and the influence it has is just crazy.
Anthony from Kershaw going with Kansas City. He says he's taking on all bets. The best prop bet that I'm seeing, the non-ridiculous prop bet anyway, that actually has to do with the games, will both teams lead in the first half? I think that's a good move. And I would go yes.
I like the Tom Brady rushing yards.
What's that at? What number?
Half.
0.5.
I like the ones that have nothing to do with football. Like, I'm on the Bovada list, and they just have what will happen to the price of Bitcoin during the Super Bowl. Will it go up or down?
Real quick, I went back and looked. We were way off on the spread last year. Chiefs
4.5?
1.5.
1.5. Ooh. A lot of people were picking the 49ers. It did feel like more people were giving the 49ers a chance last year than they're giving the Bucs a chance this year. Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Big weekend of basketball for the SEC at large with the SEC Big 12 Challenge and the Gamecocks, the SEC edging out the Big 12 in that one 5-9. The Texas-Kentucky game ended up being canceled because of COVID issues, I think, so they had to play 9 of the 10 games only. Carolina, 1 of 4 SEC teams not playing in this thing, and they played at previously winless Vanderbilt, winless in the conference. And it did not go well. And that is putting it lightly. and it was ugly, and we're trying to break it down today, and it's just very difficult for me to understand how you can blow out a Georgia team that just won by 10 over the weekend, got their third conference win on Wednesday at home by switching defenses and the whole thing. Win that game by 24. You won another SEC game against the Texas A&M team that just went to Kansas State over the weekend and won that game by 24. And then you're down 30-13 off the bat at Vandy. You go on a 14-0 run to get back in the game, and then Vandy goes on a big run too. They getting up by 30, I think, at one point, and it was an absolute disaster in multiple ways for Carolina on Saturday night. So trying to break that down, several of you commenting, as you might expect, on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Mark says, not sure why everyone's surprised or so stressed about the men's basketball team in the past several years. It's the same thing. Get a big win against a good team or blow out a team, then coming back with a loss against a team they should have beat. Matt disagrees with where Mark's coming from. He says, I'm disappointed in the Gamecock men's basketball program. More so than that, I'm surprised. Notwithstanding COVID issues, I thought the Gamecocks were poised to make some noise this season. And that kind of qualifier there, I think, needs to be pointed out, but notwithstanding the COVID issues. But, Bill, I think your point this morning, having talked about this now for a little bit, is that the COVID issues almost – that hasn't been the case at least the last several weeks. Now, I think in Frank Martin's post-game comments, what he was saying is that you almost see this every year, but typically he works out some of these issues, some of maybe feeling his team out or his team feeling him out in December. And this year they just didn't have the volume of games maybe to work it out. That's maybe my only explanation I can offer you this morning to what the heck happened for Carolina on Saturday night to a Vandy team that's just not good, but that looked really good against Carolina. Bill, where are you at in this thing?
Yeah, look, I don't want to. I think what a lot of people are looking at is, and this is understandable, is it's not a one-season thing. I don't think people are just upset about the month of January with South Carolina basketball. They're looking at basically an entire 9-year body of work. And I do kind of understand that. I do kind of grasp that. I think you just read one of the text messages that said that look, how is this year, even with COVID, how is the performances, the up and down nature, any different than what you've seen over the last several years? And Tim, you opened the show kind of talking about it, just when you feel like you know what exactly is happening. Everything kind of, you never know. It's up and down. You feel like you get a grasp of this basketball team, and then something entirely different happens. And I get where you're coming from with that. I get where a lot of people are coming from in that manner. So I don't know. I do think you've got to be realistic. You've got to understand that, yeah, there have been some issues outside of the control of Frank Martin and the players. But I also counter that argument with, look, they started to become healthy again. I don't think the roster, correct me if I'm wrong, roster is not going to change anymore right now. Alonzo Frink is out. You hope everyone else stays healthy. You've had the majority of your roster available for the last 3 weeks to practice. Jalen McCrary is the one guy that is not really been available, and now he's been back for 2 games, I guess. So he's been back for about a week and a half. So you're getting healthy, but then the defense is just it's non-existent, and I think we're all so surprised by that because you have guys like Lawson, like Cousinard, Bryant, Justin Minaya, kind of the foundation of your basketball team that has been around for at least 3 years. So at what point do you say, okay, well, these guys should be able to retain what has been taught for 3 or 4 years and apply it this year when you come back? It'd be one thing if this team, the conditioning was bad, right? We could point to that. If at the end of games they were just running out of gas and they're not able to win. The LSU game, I thought we were able to kind of explain that, right? Well, there was a lack of depth, and hey, I get it. They've not been able to practice as much as you'd like, and conditioning caught up with them, and LSU just called them and passed them in the final 5 minutes. But you're seeing slow starts as well. You're seeing the Missouri game, they get out, they fall behind 10-0 right from the get-go. Obviously, we talked about it at Vanderbilt the other night. They're down 30-13 just from the get-go. So That's where the conditioning thing maybe doesn't hold water.
Patrick, any explanation for what you saw for Gamecock basketball Saturday night at Maine?
I mean, I did try to say from the beginning that I don't think the hype for this team should have been any greater than it was last season, because I didn't see many difference between this team and last year's team. So I can't say I'm absolutely stunned, but the way we're getting blown out is also different. I mean, I have no explanation because I don't know how to evaluate defense, but when you give up over 90 points twice in a 1 week span, I don't know how you explain that. And I don't know where you go from here. I don't know how it gets better. I don't know how to explain what I'm seeing from Jermaine Cousinard. He does not even look like the same player we saw last year. Not has he not improved, he's gotten worse. I mean, when you have more turnovers than field goals, and he also didn't even register a foul, so it's like you're not even out there putting the effort in on defense and at least hacking guys for the sake of it. I mean, I just have no explanation for that. I'm almost more upset that he didn't register a foul. He's the only starter that didn't register a foul than that he didn't score more points.
Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone line. Steven would like to weigh in this morning at 803-404-6100. Hey, Steven.
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Doing okay. You?
Doing good. Just real quick, talking about the basketball team. You know, we've seen Frank Martin now for, I guess, 9 years. I think he had a great run, not taking the Final Four run away from him. It was amazing. We've now given him a couple of years past that, and we still don't see any improvement. I mean, we're seeing air balls. My 9-year-old can shoot better than some of those guys. I mean, air balls and, you know, top of the key, losing the ball, you know, ball control being absolutely terrible. I just see a lot of the basics of basketball, not the fundamentals, not being followed through, and that all goes back to coaching to me, you know. And you know, Steph.
Can I stop you right there, Steven? But I hear what you're saying, but we also saw Carolina blow out Georgia by 24 the game before.
Right. Well, what you know, and the inconsistency is what kills me. Is we give up almost 50 points to Georgia, and we give up 50 points to Vanderbilt at half. You know, and like I said, the ball control, I don't understand where these guys are seeing some of the passes, and AJ Lawson thinking he's going to get to the NBA is quite hilarious. I think he's a good scorer, but you know, his defensive fundamentals are awful. That's just my take, and I appreciate y'all taking my phone call.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, Frank was especially upset about the air balls. Mentioned in his post-game comments as well. And just, I think, as frustrated, not as frustrated, much more frustrated and disappointed than any Gamecock fan out there. It is how I read Frank Martin's comments and kind of in between the line there. Trey with a question on the live stream on YouTube. So what's the explanation for the regression, and does COVID clear any blame to coaching? It certainly doesn't clear any blame. It's just we haven't been through this before, and we have no answers for you this morning, I think is what I've come to the conclusion of anyway. We need to take a quick break right now. 803-404-6100 if you would like to join the show. It's the early game. It's 107.5 the game.
All right, there is.
Good news at my house over the weekend. No major spills to speak of. No big problems with the nearly 1 month old. I guess he's nearly 10 months old at this point. I was going to say 1 year old. He's trying to walk and the whole thing, always on the floors. Didn't have any big catastrophes. That's a big win at my house. I recommend you get somebody out to your house that has helped us around our house, especially have the nice, fresh, clean feel at our house. Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning, done a great job. A couple of times they've been out to my house. They do it differently than anybody else. They have a patented powered water system that doesn't have any harsh chemicals involved. That's especially important to me with the little ones at my house. Also, they don't leave any leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets stay cleaner longer at my home. They can at yours, or if you're in charge of a business, their commercial cleaning division working day and night, making sure businesses all over the Midlands clean and sanitized, following all the CDC guidelines in the process. Let Zero Res give you great results. And they can do it for a great price right now as well. 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $109 when you mention me, Tim Hill. Schedule that Zero Res cleaning today. Give them a call at 803-262-4020 or book online at ZeroResColumbia.com. It's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Under the sun, there's money to be made. Join us.
I got this one. My bad on the live stream there. Live stream audio.
One more break.
One more break. Bill, you're not a new guy, but you hear about the new brewery in West Columbia?
The beer garden?
The brand new one that just opened on Saturday?
Wico or whatever?
No, not a brewery. It's called Savage.
Oh, no. Somebody told me about – so yesterday we bounced around. Lauren and I, we decided to get out and go around. And because there was nothing on TV. There was golf, but there was nothing more sitting at the house. So we went to LJ's. Then we went and got sushi at a place in Lexington. Then we went to what's called Griffin's Chop House, which we saw Reggie Anderson of all people. And then we ended up at another bar. Huh?
Reggie work there?
No, he was just wandering in for a burger with his family.
Okay, good for Reggie.
We went out to a bar called Goodfellas, and then we ended up at Aladia's last night. We kind of were just bouncing around. We'd go each place and get like an appetizer. Like we was just go get an appetizer and have like a drink or two. Had a good little afternoon.
No, look up this place. It's right across the bridge behind like it's almost to Wico. It's behind like the Black Rooster and like Zesto right there.
Okay, maybe that's what. But there's a beer garden. Somebody was telling me because we were talking about it. And they were like, "Well, you should go down there." We were gonna actually go to Black Rooster, but I guess Black Rooster is now closed on Sunday and Monday.
Okay, yeah, Wico's a beer garden, but it's all outside. It's small. This place is enormous. Like it was a multi-million-dollar deal. They had a grand opening on Saturday with like a big country band too. Like it's the biggest brewery in Columbia now.
Savages.
Savage, yeah. The beer was not good though.
Their beers?
Yeah. Not good?
No, we left after an hour.
Really?
We were there before it opened to get a table and left before the band started.
How is beer not good?
It was not good. They were $7 a piece and they tasted like water.
Woo!
I'll stick to my $4 bourbon, and I did do yesterday. The sushi place we went to, I ordered bourbon and water, and I wasn't paying attention, so she gave me house bourbon, and it was awful. I don't know what the house. I didn't even want to ask, so I actually had to switch to Crown Apple and water. I went with Crown Apple and water to give myself a different taste, and that wasn't bad. I've never done the Crown Apple and water. I've done Crown Apple in shots. I might have gotten tied up on some Washington apples on Saturday afternoon.
Oops. I felt bad. Like I don't necessarily want to hold it against them how bad it was, because like there was like a college age girl that basically hands you a cup of foam because she doesn't know how to pour a beer, and like maybe because like the credit card machines were down and like
they needed this.
So hopefully I might go back again, but I mean it was.
Yeah, you always got to give them one more chance.
Yeah, but I'm not really in the business of spending $28 on 4 beers if they're not very good.
That I can agree with.
I could buy Miller Lite for
You
that.
went to more places yesterday than I've been in probably maybe this whole thing, maybe this 11 months.
Yeah, we just wanted to get out. We went and sat at every bar, or every rest. I mean, Griffin's Chop House and Aladia's and
You're always
Maya
out.
are not bars. They're restaurants.
You say it like you've been cooped up in your house for a month straight. You're always out.
Yeah, I am out constantly.
I've never heard of a single place that you just named.
They're all in Lexington. They're all in Lexington.
I guess I don't really get out to Lexington, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. You're up.
Super Bowl week is here, trying to break down Gamecock basketball, what we saw over the weekend. Record-setting performance continues for Don Staley and company. And unfortunately for the Gamecock men's basketball team, disappointing discussion continues. That has been the trend, seemingly. I guess it's been at different times through the last several years. I was going to say it happens about this time every year, but actually a run in the SEC has happened pretty much every time. About this time every year in the past, and that has added to confusion about some disappointing early season losses, and that's kind of been the narrative the last few years, part of not making NCAA tournaments. Not that there was one last year, but the years before that, a couple of years before that, after the Final Four run. Saturday night, it was just unfathomable, I think, the lack of competing against the Vandy team that hadn't won an SEC game. And the last time they had won an SEC game was the last time Carolina went to Nashville, especially after coming off a dominated performance the Gamecocks were against Georgia at home a few days before. So kind of your guess is as good as ours, I think, in a lot of ways about explaining what we saw and what's going on with Gamecock men's basketball. And I do know it doesn't get any easier. The matchup between Frank Martin and Florida coach Mike White has typically gone Frank's way. But Florida coming off a big win at West Virginia over the weekend, helping the SEC take 5 out of 9, win that SEC Big 12 Challenge 5-4. West Virginia was ranked 11th in the country and a good team and kind of in control of that game, or that was a bit of a back and forth battle. I was thinking really of the LSU Texas Tech game that was going on at the same time, I think, and how LSU was in control of that game. And Texas Tech has a big comeback towards the end and pulls that one out for the Big 12. But I think, Bill, is that where you are maybe most disheartened right now with Gamecock men's basketball? You're talking about how what a veteran team this was, or this is, and now to not only see the struggle on Saturday night, but to not necessarily see something that you can point to and say, oh, well, next year at least they have this, or this, and can kind of build on.
Yeah, and I think everything you just said, it's a combination of this team has been around. You've seen, I mean, again, compared to college basketball standards, this is an extremely experienced basketball team. And I think that's why, to an extent, I have a hard time just giving them a complete pass with the virus issues, with saying, well, they haven't been able to practice. Because I get it, there are small adjustments you make throughout the season. I know Frank's big on that, but these guys have practiced and played for Frank, and he should know them, and they should know him, and they should understand his system and what he wants to do because they've been in the system for 3 years. You know, Lawson's a junior, Bryant's a junior, Cousinard's a sophomore, but he practiced for 1 year where he wasn't eligible. I know Seventh Woods was on the team last year. He sat out after transferring, but he was on the team. Justin Minaya is, again, I think in his 4th year. Your foundation of your team is kind of into it. I think that's the hard part. That's where I'm having the most confusion. If it was a younger team, if they were all a bunch of sophomores, yeah, I would really grasp the issues here. But they're not, and that's where I think when Patrick says after during the Auburn game he couldn't. How did you word it? You couldn't put a finger on where to put.
Just the frustration, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you felt like this would be a team that was ready-made to handle all the adversity that a COVID-riddled season would bring you because they're experienced, because they know how to play together, and they know Frank Martin's system. That's completely the opposite.
Yeah. And so I don't, and again, I don't know if it's conditioning. I don't feel like that's it. You look at it, guys. This was a team. I was just going back and looking at the schedule, and because I think we're all trying to figure it out. They start the season. They give up 78 to Liberty. They give up 77 in a loss to Houston. Houston's playing really good. Houston won again yesterday. I think they're 14-1. Houston's a really good basketball team. And then basically you lose the month of December. And you come back. We all knew that the Florida A&M game was kind of an odd, awkward game. They end up winning that. Then they thumped Texas A&M. But now you played 5 games in a row without a cancellation, without any issues. You played 5 games in a row. And in those 5 games, you've given up 85 points, 81 points, 109 points. Then you had the Georgia anomaly, which is holding them to 59, and then you give up 93 on Saturday night. The defense, again, is maybe what I'm most confused about when you talk about – and I don't know how the issue of the coronavirus or COVID or whatever impacts defensively. Like, is it taking away their legs? Is it taking away – I don't understand that. That's where I'm with Patrick. We're not understanding that.
I mean, I think they aren't very well conditioned because you see it at the end of games, but that doesn't excuse anything that happened in the 35 minutes before that. I mean, they were clearly just dead after the end of the Auburn game. They're just walking around the court, but that wasn't the issue.
Well, and when you hear Frank Martin say he saw it on the first possession defensively, where Carolina not even doing the basic concepts that they need to do on defense, and said that you didn't pay attention to the scouting report. It's frustrating, I think, for everyone involved. Clemson fans kind of can, I think, identify right now because their season was rolling at one point. They were in great shape, off to a really good start in ACC play, and then they had COVID issues. And since then, it has been brutal. It's been 4 out of 5 losses, all blowouts, including at Cameron Indoor Stadium over the weekend by 26 to a Duke team that's not good. They do have 1 win in there. It's kind of confusing. I think it's last week, midweek, by 4 against a ranked Louisville team. But outside of that, blowout losses to Virginia, Georgia Tech, Florida State, and now Duke. 4 out of 5 losses as they dropped to 10-5 overall. I mean, their non-conference was as good as anybody, with a win against Purdue, an 8-point win against Alabama, who turned into the class of the SEC. And unfortunately for Clemson, it's also gone south. So the state of South Carolina men's basketball really hit hard by COVID. And it's difficult for those of us on the outside, Bill, like you mentioned earlier, to figure out, okay, and Patrick, this was to your point, about being frustrated. You don't know where to aim it toward. You don't know where to – I know a lot of Gamecock fans, and by the texts we're getting in today, aiming it right at the head coach and Frank Martin. But what is a fair, I guess, landing spot for your frustration right now for a basketball season? We had one texter hit us up, and might have been even a Clemson fan, that said they're just happy to have college basketball at all this year. And trying to look at it in that way, it's a different way to look at it for sure. It's rough right now if you're a Carolina or Clemson basketball fan, for sure, and rough for unique reasons in 2021 as opposed to in years past, where it's just been that teams haven't been good enough. I think that's the ultimate frustration, especially for Gamecock fans, having seen a run to the Final Four 4 years ago. It can be good enough. This year's team has been really good in its 2 conference wins by 24 points. And then to see it go the other way on Saturday night against a team that's not very good in Vandy is hard to stomach in a lot of ways. We're going to get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. 803-404-6100 is the number. We got Barron waiting patiently to join the show. Hey, Barron.
Hey, how are you? I just got one other quick comment. I do love basketball playing. One thing I've noticed about Carolina, especially this year, they're so impatient on offense. You know, a team that's impatient on offense kills their defense. You don't get back on defense, and finally you get the ball, go back, it might take a wild shot, bam, you're back on defense. If you're a little bit patient on offense, somebody drives, hits the open man, slows down their defense somewhat. I just want to run that by you, let you talk about that. But I see Carolina's different this year. The coach is not preaching patience, and if you don't, the guys will take those wild shots. You're either good or real bad when you play like that.
Appreciate it, Baron. Bill, what do you think? As Baron was saying that, it hadn't dawned on me. I hadn't processed it in the same way. But we all have seen point guard issues, and I think that definitely affects the way an offense is run. Where are you with what Baron had to say about patience on the offensive?
Yeah, I mean, I know Seventh Woods has been through a lot, and I don't think that we know the extent of what he's been through with some issues, some health issues. He's not had a good season, and I'm not. I don't. This is where that I think that things have. This is where I don't think we have all the information to make an informed opinion on it. But I think Seventh Woods is a better player than he's played. I think he would tell you that. But again, I don't think it's necessarily his fault. It's not like I think Seventh Woods is not practicing hard or not trying. I think there's just right now some issues there. But certainly you expected more from him, and I think he's capable of it. And I don't want to. I'm not trying to come down on the young man. Jermaine Cousinard at times plays really good. We talked about that. Alan hits us up on the end show stream and says, how do you dominate a UGA team on Wednesday on both ends of the floor, then 3 days later get dominated by a lesser opponent? Let's start with that Jermaine Cousinard line. Jermaine Cousinard is a very, very talented basketball player and has made some really good plays for the Gamecocks. Had some really good games over the last 2 years. But the difference in Jermaine Cousinard probably is as on display when you compare his Wednesday night performance against Georgia versus shooting 2 of 15. And Patrick, you were saying it, not even committing a foul defensively. If you're guarding the other team's ball handler, how do you not one or two times get your chest in front, or even if it's a ticky-tack call, not pick up a foul? I think, and again, I don't want to come down on the young man. I'm not trying to rip a 19 or 20-year-old, but if you want to start to break it down individually, you need good point guard play. You get it one night, you win by 26 or whatever South Carolina beat Georgia by. You don't get it on Saturday night and you lose by 11.
Cousinard led the team in minutes played on Saturday night at Vandy with 32 minutes played. Raphael sums it up pretty simply. Scottie Pippen Jr. is good. He definitely is, and he definitely was against the Gamecocks, and he has been the last couple of matchups. It's just been a bad matchup for the Gamecocks, but I don't think anybody expected it to go quite as poorly as it ended up going on Saturday night. 803-404-6100 if you would like to weigh in with some final thoughts. The dramatic conclusion of the show coming up. Plenty of football notes to get you caught up on from the weekend as well when we come back. It's the early game here on 107.5.
Oh! Ugh. Oh!
And I noticed that somebody hit us up on Twitter about Arik Gilbert's commitment on social media. Had his location reading Dollar General. I thought it might have been Family Dollar.
I just realized I was talking about all those places we went to last night. I just looked in the trash can and forgot. We stopped by Rush's on the way home from Milk Crate.
Unbelievable. Yeah, like 8 establishments one day. Strong.
Yeah, we went. I worked out yesterday and I did shoulders. I haven't worked out shoulders in I don't know how long. And it turns out I've become really weak.
Trey was impressed. Check out Trey's comment there.
That's what I'm saying. He's groaning while getting out of the chair. I'm 38, 39 this year. That's why I'm drinking coffee for wellness.
You're still on mute there, Patrick, on the live stream.
The old coffee for wellness. I need a good healthy week. I need to have a good healthy week. Continue to eat right.
Joe Pollock hits us up. This Gamecocks team is one of the most talented in a while. They are talented individually, not playing well individually or as a team. I don't think I blame Frank, but this team is a huge disappointment this year and last year's team. Without that text about Mark Kingston was dead on, I think. Poor guy.
Yeah, that sucks.
It was a rough environment to start with. Oh, Trey's encouraging you now, Bill. Keep on keeping on.
I'm doing my best.
Travis, 7th wasn't a scorer in high school? What are you talking about, man? He dominated in high school.
Wasn't he just everything playing in Skiza?
Yeah. But it wasn't just that. He played AAU too, and he was ranked number 1 in the whole country, I think, as like a freshman.
No, he was number 1 as like a 7th grader. He was, by the time he got to his freshman year, he dropped to about 10, and then he continued to drop from there.
His hoop mixtape ruined everything for him.
It did. Well, being able to dunk he dunked in 7th grade. I remember being in Myrtle Beach at the Sockasty High School gym with Mike Boynton and Dion Bethay came up and showed that video to us. He at 7th had done it like the day before or something, and they had it on film and they were showing it.
Yeah, it was literally 14 years old, and he's got tens of millions of views probably on YouTube because he was dunking like he was a grown man.
Yeah.
We got 30 seconds.
Jen's mom had surgery and she's recovering now, and Jen's with her up in Chicago. Trey, thanks for inquiring. I'm sure you could send her some well wishes at Jen Jensen Morse there on the tweeter.
Oh, you see this? Arik Fisher is not going to play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, Patrick Mahomes starts with Arik Fisher. They're 27-1.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes starts without Arik Fisher 3-3.
Yeah, he tore his Achilles. And Mitchell Schwartz got hurt earlier in the year, so that's both their tackles. And their best guard, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, is a doctor and opted out so that he could treat COVID patients.
All right.
All right. You're up.
Bill, you just stealing a hot take stat off of ESPN over there about Pat Mahomes and Arik Fisher, his left tackle, who's out for the Super Bowl because of a torn Achilles?
Yep. 27-1 the Chiefs are when Mahomes and Fisher start over the last 2 seasons. 3-3. 3-3 actually when Fisher doesn't start. Mahomes starts and Fisher doesn't start. And Patrick was just giving us the breakdown. It sounds like I didn't realize some of that. Sounds like the Chiefs' offensive line is a little depleted going into this game. But we were talking about that Buccaneers defense there that could get after them.
I hope it means something, but the Chiefs' offensive line has not been good to begin with, and Patrick Mahomes has still been unbelievable. I mean, his splits against pressure are almost as good as in a clean pocket. So I hope that it means something, and I'm going to count on it meaning something, but we'll see. I mean, the Chiefs' offense has never truly been slowed down. So,
other football news from the weekend: Arik Gilbert, the talented freshman tight end at LSU, announcing his transfer over to Florida. From Georgia originally, the word had been he was homesick down in LSU, now going down to Gainesville, and it looks like Dan Mullen, to me, just convinced him very simply, you're going to be the next Kyle Pitts, and you can come here and continue to dominate. To me, this is not good news for the Gamecocks, anybody else in the SEC East, that Florida gets a weapon, a talented guy. I think that Gilbert proved he was talented at LSU, and was just kind of never really fit in, or I don't know what the deal was down there. Patrick, you follow that program more than a lot of people. What do you make of it?
Well, I think he had a really good freshman season. If he didn't come in and people talked about how he's a 18-year-old grown man that could start in the NFL as a college freshman, I mean, the hype around him was ridiculous because he is just an outrageous athlete when you just look at him. And there was one play in the South Carolina game where I can't remember who was on him, but he tried to one-hand a ball in the corner of the end zone and almost brought it down, and it would have been the most ridiculous play you've ever seen. I mean, he does freakish stuff like that. The quarterback position did not help him out at LSU at all. So I don't know what went into him leaving. There was the word that he was homesick, so he wanted to go closer to home, and everybody in Athens thought he was going to be coming to Georgia, and then he goes to Florida. So, I mean, he got a little bit closer to home, but the homesick excuse doesn't seem to be the reason. I mean, I guess it's much closer, so he can go home on a weekend if he really needs to, but I guess there's not really a better place to go following in the footsteps of Kyle Pitts, who's the best tight end as a receiver that we've seen in a really long time.
Yeah, Bill, that's what I make of it, that Dan Mullen was able just to say, hey, you see this guy? We'll use it the same way. Come on over. This is what I do. And he bought in, and I think Florida just continues to fill another spot and have top-line talent there. You never speak highly or haven't spoken highly of Florida in the offseason and seemingly ever. What do you think?
I was just looking real quick. Marietta High School to Gainesville. I was just trying to see what you talk about that coming home thing, because you're right. A lot of people thought he was probably going to come back to Georgia or go back to Georgia. I know Clemson. There was some discussion that maybe Clemson could get in the mix for him again, because you're talking about I think about a 2-hour trip, maybe less than that. But I was just trying to look very quickly and see how far Marietta High School was from Gainesville. But I think that's it. You're selling out. Huh?
Just 30 seconds about how you're looking up.
I'm trying. I had to look. I'm on MapQuest, and I was having to get the directions from Marietta High School, which is 1171.
I just looked it up in 2 seconds.
Excellent job. That's why you're here. Why'd you pressure me if you already had it?
The whole time that you were talking, I could have looked it up 5 separate times. It takes 2 seconds. You've been married at Georgia.
You did it. Good job. You were there. That's what I count on you for. Directions. It's directions.
It's around like this.
Directions. So what do you think? Do you think it's be closer to 5 hours? Real quick, look up how far is it from Marietta to Baton Rouge?
Okay.
Get on that for me and let me know. I'm gonna go 8.
I guess 10 hours.
10? Okay. All right. But so he's a little bit closer to, but I think it's what you just said. They sold him Kyle Trask.
8. 7 hours and 40 minutes.
3 hours. So the closer to home thing doesn't really hold water, right? It's definitely Kyle Pitts, right? Like that was the selling point, and that's an easy selling point.
Well, it was easy to be sold on LSU the year after the national championship and Joe Brady and 20 NFL players, whatever ridiculous number it was. And it looks like LSU's not in a good place, and could be going through a head coaching change within the next 2 years as well.
Yeah.
So was all that filibustering just so you didn't have to say, yeah, it's good for Florida. They're looking good. They're going to be tough to beat.
I don't know enough about the quarterback situation down there to think that this might be a great move for him. If the best move would have been to go to Georgia or Clemson, where you've got I've watched DJ play for Clemson this year, and I think that the future is very bright with him. Or to go to Georgia, where you got JT Daniels. Look, Arik Gilbert's wherever he's going, he's there for 2 years, right?
Correct.
Like he's going somewhere for 2 years, and then he's going to the league. And you look at the quarterback situation. Maybe Emory Jones is in the Heisman consideration next year. He has this great year, but I don't think so. I don't know if Emory Jones is the answer down there. And so I think you're going to a place that the quarterback situation is a little murky. I think you could have gone to Georgia or Clemson and had more instant success.
I think you go off track record there, and tight end track record specifically, recent history, and then you can go off Dan Mullen's quarterback track record.
30.
You turned a guy who didn't start in high school into a Heisman Trophy contender in Kyle Trask. And a guy got on the field and got some significant snaps behind him is now there. And in Emory Jones, I think it's going to be in good shape. I'll learn my lesson. I will not ask Bill to even get anywhere close to evaluating Florida football this offseason.
So overrated. We're so overrated.
Well done on your MapQuest skills. Thanks for listening there, Lee.
Clear.
Okay, Travis, I'll let you off the hook on that one about the pure shooter, not scorer. That'll do it for the live stream. I made it through, and now I got to go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, Patrick, we got to cut this. If we can help me cut this sleep number real quick.
Yep.
Thanks
And
for
then are
tuning
you able to
in.
go back and pull something off the skimmer? Do we have?
How about you talk to Patrick about that here in just a second? I want to say goodbye to all the people. Thank you, people.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.